It's a question that's been asked more than it's been answered. How do you win the Daytona 500? This race is more than just man and machine. At Daytona, there's a secret to unlock. Now, some folks call this secret the draft, and others call it the air. But as for me, I call it the wind. And carried with that wind are the spirits of the legends and the gods of racing themselves. So, how do you win the Daytona 500? Ride the wind.
Good evening, hello, and welcome to a slightly delayed start to Vouts and Lines coverage of the iRacing Majors Series, the Daytona 500. We are here to get underway for 500 miles, 805 kilometers of action-packed, bumper-to-bumper pack racing. Looking forward to this. Jay Kennedy, and alongside me, an expert. I'm going to call you an expert, Mitch. Mitchell McLeod, an expert at oval racing, because I know how many of these oval races you tend to do. Mitch, it's going to be a pretty awesome race for the 500-mile Daytona 500. It should be a lot of fun.
Trucks this week, so I don't know about expert. I've crashed out of a few, so I know what not to do. So I might be able to give some sort of insight on that.
What not to do is probably just as important as what to do. I know there's a lot of drivers in this field who are not overly confident and comfortable in oval racing. A lot of drivers in this field that have never done a serious oval race in their life. A lot of drivers that have never ever done an oval race with an open setup as opposed to the iRacing fixed setup races. So this is going to be a whole new element for a whole heap of people. Really looking forward to seeing how it all plays out and how it all unfolds. It's going to be a very, very entertaining race.
Oh, for sure. And I have never really done open setup ovals either. So I've done a lot of fixed races, but open setup, that's a complete new ball game. So if these guys have never done any oval races to begin with, let alone open, it's going to be in for a hard time.
Yep. And a lot of guys that their only aim is to not be involved in the big one when it happens. We're about 4 minutes away from the race getting underway. The drivers have just finished drivers briefing and are getting out on track to get a little bit of last minute practice in under their belts before the race kicks off. And we'll quickly look at the championship standings after the first round. Daniel Benefield and Dan Karakonstantis leading the championship. Neither of those drivers are here. I do know Daniel Benefield currently leading the race for the Oceanic Endurance Championship, which is live as well here on Vouts Live for the first time ever. We are live with two different broadcasts at the same time. And the other driver of Dan Karakonstantis is not here either. Dane Warren also doing the race in the OAC race at the same time. He is not here. Ashley, third in the championship after a good solid second. He is not here as well. The first driver in this championship fight that is in this race. We've got the two sixth place drivers of Christopher Norton and Bo Albert. Speaking to Bo earlier though, he is not confident at all in this race. Whilst he does have his A oval license, he is not confident in pack racing at Daytona. And pack racing at Daytona is a real different beast, isn't it, Mitch?
It really is. Like, there's pretty much three parts to the start: surviving the start, surviving the middle, and just being there for the end. As long as you are there on the lead lap without much damage towards the end, you can still win it. So, you know, a lot of these battles that people get into halfway through the race, you don't need to do it. So just as long as you're there at the end, you're in with a chance. So that's a lot of these guys just got to remember.
If anyone wants proof that anyone can win a Daytona 500, I've won a Daytona 500, so literally anyone can win a Daytona 500. You never ever are out of these races. You just got to be smart. Got to take your time. Don't take any risks at all. It is such a long race. As we said, it's 805 kilometers in length. Sounds incredibly long when you think of it that way, but when you're doing at slower speeds in a pack of 310 k's an hour, it absolutely flies by at the same time.
It sounds a lot easier when you say that you've won one. It was like second split though.
No. It was top split for the AusNZ NASCAR iRacing series when we had.
Oh, was it?
Remember when we used to have the old Saturday night NASCAR split?
Yeah.
I won the Daytona 500. So, yeah, it has been done that an absolute hopeless driver, Muppet, absolute hopeless driver can win the Daytona 500. If you want proof that anyone can win it, that is the proof. As we look at the Governor's Cup Championship points, Australia leading New Zealand. Surprising, New Zealand are actually quite close to Australia, so hopefully we'll see that come right down to the wire over the next few races. Obviously very, very early in this championship. So we wait now. A few drivers out on track actually practicing green flag pit stops, and I think that'll be key. A lot of drivers, whilst they do a lot of practice, green flag pit stops aren't something that a lot of drivers really take into consideration and don't do a lot of practice of, and it is a really important thing in plate racing at Daytona.
Oh, for sure. And I've got one specific memory in mind that we all did a green flag stop one time, all me and my teammates trying to help each other out to, work together to get to the front.
The story, because I know where the story is heading.
Yeah. There was one member of the team that happened to not break his heart. Yeah,
I think that was me.
His name starts with J and ends in Kennedy.
Yeah, that was me. I did definitely clean
nailed me into the pits.
Yep. I think we still went all right in that race too. That was not last year's, but the year before the Daytona 500, I believe. Actually, it might have been Talladega that happened at. But
it could have been. I know it was a flat-out track, and we didn't have to do much to do all right.
I think we were looking for a 1, 2, 3, and I absolutely destroyed us. But
oh. As Jonathan Ben, he completely missed the pits there.
Yep, and now that the race session is about to start, we could sort of give a little bit of a tip. For those that don't know, there is a little bit of a patch just on the entrance to the pits. And that point there is pretty much the point where you want to get your foot on the brake and start to slow down for the pits. As we go through the qualifying order, the grid for this race, Jason Martin, no surprise to anyone in the AusNZ Oval community that he is on pole, with John King in second, Aaron Farmer in third, and Roger Clark in fourth position. Then we've got Shane Bowen in fifth, the series admin Michaelette in sixth, Brad Matheson in seventh. Those top seven getting through from the duel on Thursday night. Jake Fox, the next fastest qualifier, in eighth, Matt Muggleton ninth, and Josh Nowak in 10th. TJ Brown in 11th, Troy Maguire in 12th, Scott Larnack in 13th, Samuel Harris 14th, then we've got Riley Blythe in 15th position, Bo Albert in 16th, Martin Houston in 17th, Dane Burns in 18th position, Matt Raymond 19th, Corey Ott in 20th position, then we've got Christopher Norton, Mark Dredge, Robert Northway, Daniel Stevens, Dean Mole, Brock Cadday, Wayne Burke, Scott Griffiths, Adam McLeod, Anthony Green, Brett Loxton, James Kingsland, Daniel Atchison, Jonathan Ben, Brant Tucker, and Graham Uramoka, rounding out this 36-car field for today's race.
I'm pretty upset that I'm not in this, to be honest. But, yeah, I'm not going to lie. This looks like it's going to be one hell of a race, and hopefully they get some nice clean runs and there's some good racing side by side, because I know it can work. Side by side can work. It doesn't have to be single file around here. Let's just hope that there's some drivers here that know how to do the side by side racing, and they make it work and make it entertaining for us.
Yep, it's going to be a fantastic show. This entire race in this series is obviously open to anyone to join. Head to pacificmajors.com if you want to join. We will have one more NASCAR race later on in the season as we go to Charlotte for the Coke 600, sorry, the World 600 also the Indy 500. But we are ready to get round 2 of the Major Series. International region underway. This is the Daytona 500, 200 laps, 500 miles, 805 kilometers. Green flag flies. We are go. And a good jump on the inside road from Jason Martin.
Yep, it looks like all these front guys just know, yep, let's just settle into a rhythm. Let's get started. Let's just make sure we're there at the end.
Yep, no point rushing and forcing the issue this early in the race. The lap counter not quite working yet. It will fix itself in a moment, but we all start to slot into line. The outside row will probably shuffle back a little bit as we start to get everything sorted out. But that mid-pack already side by side, 2 by 2, is going to be quite interesting. Now, one thing too, Mitch, we have both driven a lot of races with the 2 guys in front. Jason Martin and Aaron Farmer, these 2 work very, very well together.
Oh, for sure. Jason Martin, that bloke is an absolute freak when it comes to ovals. There's no doubt about that. The amount of racing that he does, he knows what he's doing, and to be sitting at the lead of this back, he's going to be just sitting there reeling them in. And to have Aaron Farmer right behind him that has also done a lot of racing on ovals, he's sitting in a very good position to begin with. If there's any dramas early on, they are right where they need to be.
Those front 5 already broken a little bit of a gap. It's going to be a long time before we see the draft broken though. Martin, Farmer, King, Clark and Bowen. Roger Clark, another driver who's very, very good on the ovals. One of the organising guys in the ANSCAR series. But our ticker finally works out that we're doing a 200 lap race instead of a 4-hour race. And
also nice to see that the midfield, that early on bunch up on the outside, they've all found a way to slot into that single line. So nobody's doing anything too desperate just yet. They're just setting into a rhythm.
They're speaking to a lot of the drivers that are participating in this race and probably their first real crack at a Daytona 500. This is probably the most serious a lot of these drivers have ever taken an oval race. So we're going to see a lot of guys that are quite happy to drop to the back of the pack, just want to stay out of trouble, not get involved in anything, not do anything silly. But these guys up the front, they're really wanting to race and they're really wanting to start to force the issue as the top 14 or so have broken away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, there's already a slight gap opening up. So what position is that? Position 15. Already dropping off a little bit, so I don't know if that's a smart move just in case something happens in front, but he's got a nice buffer either way. Mike, you're going to have to pronounce that one for me, Jake.
That's actually the series admin, the series organiser is Mike, and does a fantastic job organising this series as well as the iRacing World Cup as well. And he's actually
definitely playing it smart then.
Very. Bo Albert looking potentially go around the outside, and Bo's very, very disappointed because the headlights, you actually notice on the windscreen banner, it says they're just stickers. He's not happy that there's no actual headlights. He can't flash. We all know how much he loves to flash those headlights.
Yeah, it's not doing much around the outside there at the moment. He's got nobody helping him. So, yeah, he might be up there for a little while. But he's probably still pushing the button to flash the headlights though.
Yep, not going to work. Aaron Farmer's actually broken out and looking to try and go around the outside. Don't know if that's going to be a smart move, and John King probably leaving a little bit of a gap there, and he will come back into line. We get back into single file at the front once again. Actually, no, Farmer's
staying with it. He's sticking with it. He's wanting to make a race of it already. What's that? Lap 6 already. Trying to take the place from Jason Martin. And he's got nobody helping him. He's got a very long cars up on the inside behind him, so although it looks like John King might be hanging back a little bit just to see what he does.
Yeah, I think he's just wondering what Farmer's going to do, whether he's going to stay on that outside. We've got Big Wreck in the background. Michaelette's involved. Not quite sure who else is involved. We've got the first caution of the night. And looks like that was quite a large wreck on the back straight. Bo Albert also involved in that one too. Good thing is these guys do have a fast repair, so they can get back out there get the car fixed, get back out on track, and go once again as we get a CPR replay. And it looks like possibly a little bit of bump drafting issues between Albert and Alette, and that was very, very, very big.
That one looks really awkward because it didn't look like any of them did anything wrong. Like, you can bump draft, no dramas, and you don't need to lift. I've done it plenty of times where you don't lift for 20, 30 laps. But Bo Albert must have just got the wrong angle on the series admin of all people that you wanted to do that to on lap 6.
Yeah, that's never a good sign to do it to the admin. We'll go to another replay because see if we can get one on board with Albert. Probably just had the side of the car hooked up a little bit too much. And trying to work out who that car was that got. I mean, that might have been Martin Houston, who also was an innocent bystander in this. We'll go on board with Martin because it's happened all just ahead of him and had nowhere to go. One thing I am impressed with is we lasted 6 laps before we had our first caution. I thought we were going to get one on lap 1 or lap 2.
For the race's sake, I was hoping that we didn't, and I'm surprised that it was that early, to be honest. Especially from Bo Albert. He does, like, I know he probably hasn't done a great deal of oval racing, but he's done a lot of racing, and a little bit of overlap here. It's so easy to unsettle the car, so you got to be a little bit cautious on where you bump draft. Yep. You've got to hit them square on, otherwise it can just turn somebody into the fence. And it's not anything intentional. There's no two ways about that. It's not intentional. It's just that if you hit them on the wrong angle, they turn and then they're in front of you. You can't do anything about it, and then you spit out in front of the rest of the field, and your race is pretty much done. Yep. Once you got that damage, it's over.
Yep. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. There's definitely able to bump and push, but yeah, you've got to hit them square on, especially when we're dealing with an internet-based race, and netcode plays such a big part in how these races play out and unfold. So, saying that, Bo will learn from that. He'll come back in the next little bit, and he will be back out there as well as Mike. He's back out on track. But I think the best thing, very sure that Bo's pride will be hurt a tiny little bit right now.
I'm just going to go back and have a look at Bo, because the best thing that he can do right now is not take his quick repair, because you are going to. I don't know. It didn't look that bad, to be honest.
Yeah, the whole front of the car is missing, though. So he might be in a bit of trouble. In saying that, he looks like he's trying to get damage repaired and come back out.
It does.
Using it, doesn't he?
I'd be hanging in there as long as you can. If you go down a lap, you might get a lucky dog. I'd be putting it off as long as you can, because we've still got a very long way to go.
See if we get one to green this time around. So Martin, Farmer and King, the top 3 for now, as it was at the start of the race, with one change of position. Farmer up 1, King down 1, and Albert still stopped, so he's going to go a lap down already in this race. Now, I know Bo as well, he also was having internet issues, so possibly that has contributed a little bit to the misfortune in the race as Brett Loxton comes in from back in the field. He's come in just to splash up with a bit of fuel and go again. Biggest mover in the field at the moment is, surprisingly, Brant Tucker. Now, I say surprisingly because he qualified second last year. I was actually watching him in his qualifying last night. He did the last qualifying session. Only just made his minimum laps for practice. Very, very unprepared because he spent all day in the commentary box with me over on the OEC broadcast. His whole plan of this race was to just stay out of trouble and drop to the back and see if you could survive. If you finished the race, he thought that would be an achievement. That's all you need to do in these. If you survive, you've done enough.
Well, he's sitting in 18th. He's gained 17 places where he is at the moment. If he gains another 17, he's on for a win.
He's halfway there.
He's halfway there, and we're not even halfway through the race. So
he's got it.
He's a rookie to keep your eye on.
He's the one to keep your eye on. Oh, he won't agree with that. He'll be saying one to keep my eye on because he'll probably put it in the fence. But
if he was hanging out with the commentary box with you, it could be an opportunity for
him. I haven't taught him.
I hope you. I hope you realise that you invited me into this commentary
I
box.
know I
I'm
am
going
going
to
to
hang everything on you.
I am going to get sledged to the max, and I know that there's people out there who are loving that I'm the one that's being sledged instead of being the one doing the sledging as the lights go out on the Ford Mustang pace car, and we get ready for the green flag next time around. Double file
Well,
restarts as always.
I'm going to be really professional here and bite my tongue, but if there's any MFR cars in this field, I'm going to be really, really happy with that. So
I believe that there are a couple of MFR cars in here. From memory.
fantastic. That's all I need to know. I've just had a bet put on.
Oh, look out. We'll find out more about that later. So here we go, ready to get stage number 2 of this race underway. Our first restart. Jason Martin controlling the field once the pace car pulls in. And for a lot of these guys, this would be the first ever restart they've done, especially a double file restart. A lot of drivers would never have done this in their life.
And you think, looking at it, it's not that difficult, but my God, it is.
Yeah, it is tough.
Trying to
get this
judge
right.
the Oh yeah,
And
even the slightest little miscalculation on when the green comes on, if you're a little bit delayed, you lose so much time, or you gain too much and you got to back off and then you lose it. It's not that easy.
no, it's not. And the other thing too is you don't want to break any of the restart rules as the green flag comes out. Once again, we restart on lap number 11. Lap number 11. Martin and Farmer breaking away. You really need to be careful back in the field because a lot of guys would not be knowledgeable of the iRacing rules in regards to passing before the start-finish line.
And that is a very good point because the amount of hosted racing that we have done, Jay, the biggest issue with people is not knowing the rules on what you can do. The amount of black flags that get put out just because they've done a slight little error when they didn't need to, it can ruin your race.
Exactly, and those that are wondering about the restart rules, you must pass a car on the outside before the start-finish line. So if you're on the inside row and have a run, you can't duck to the inside and drop below the yellow line. That is against the rules and you will get black flags, and the amount of times that has cost many people in races, I think I will have to take my shoes off and I still would not be able to get anywhere near counting it. It's an astronomical number of people that get caught out by such a simple rule as the front 6 have pulled a bit of a gap. Brad Matheson in 7th, not able to stick with Samuel Harris in 6th.
Sam was looking around the outside there. It could have been just sort of trying to wipe off a bit of speed without, lifting off too much, but he's pulled back out there again. This looks like he wants to get a little bit racy and hoping, might be just sort of testing the water, see who wants to jump out with him.
Yep, and possibly someone in that pack behind Brad Matheson might want to come out and maybe make a bit of a move. He's got Jake Fox and Riley Blythe in there. Good job from Riley in 9th, one of the drivers that we're talking about that haven't done a huge amount of NASCAR racing. He has done a bit of oval racing, but not necessarily NASCAR racing, and definitely not plate racing. So doing a very good job at the moment. And his teammate Scott Larnack just in behind as well. So 2 of the 3 ART guys having a bit better run than co-commentator in Bo Albert, who's dropped all the way back. He is the first car lap down though, so he will get the lucky dog if we do get another caution. But at the front, those front 6 look like they're in a little bit of a class of their own because Matheson struggling to keep on the back.
It really is, but keeping that sort of a gap at this stage of the race, it's not the be-all and end-all. Like he has just had Sam Harris pull back in front of him, and at some point in time, these guys are going to check up. He's not going to lose that much time, so I don't think this is much of a drama. He could be just playing it a little bit smart here.
Yep. And Harris looks like he's playing it a little bit smart. He's a very experienced driver, so He looks like he's just running it a little bit wide coming into the corner just to brush off speed. Not sure if that's the best way to do it. I probably find lifting and saving fuel is the better bet, but he seems quite happy just to send it a little bit wide and then tuck back into line. And yeah, maybe that's helping that secondary pack close up, because Matheson now is back on the tail once again.
Yeah, at the same time though, you've got to be a little bit careful of what you do. Like, you might have your own game plan, but the guy in front of you, with Shane Bowen, sorry, you know, caution.
Yep, we've got a slow car on the back straight. Daniel Atchison looks like he's around in the 471. Oh, he just got cleaned up as well by James Kingsland in the 622, and also another car there, Brett Loxton. Oh, Kingsland's not holding the brake, and he just made contact with another car. There's 3 separate bits of contact there. We'll get a CPR replay. And Atchison looks like he was the one that started that second caution, and possibly involved in the 83 of Matthew Raymond as well. We'll get another replay and go back a little bit further. It was Matt Muggleton actually that's caused the contact. And Muggleton being very, very quick this week, so probably finding himself in a little bit of a position where he's a bit frustrated. And then secondary contact there from the 622. And
that's pretty much identical to the first caution.
yeah, it's a
it was
strange
just
one.
not quite the square hit that you want for the bump draft, and again, the inexperience. You just, unless you've been doing it all the time, you just don't know where you can hit a car and where you can't. So it's going to be a very long race by the look of it, until these guys settle down and realise what they can and can't do. But as you said before, if they haven't done this in and out for a long period of time, they're going to struggle with knowing what they can and can't do.
Yep. And Kingsland there really showed a bit of a lack of experience there with not holding the brake, and then trying to correct the car while there's cars coming past and made fairly heavy contact with...
Oh, and Martin in the pits.
Yeah, this is interesting. Come back live, and few of our front-running pack actually in the pits. It was a surprise. So Martin, King, Harris, Matheson, and Fox all in the pits. I'm actually a little bit surprised by this.
I have not looked at the calculations whatsoever, so I've got no idea if this is a smart move or a bad move. I know that I'm getting some very weak graphics on my computer screen, so...
He's actually dropped a few spots, has Jason Martin, so he's actually back in 13th position. He's dropped behind Larnack, Blythe, and Harris out of the guys that have that did pit in that stop. So I'm thinking those 3 guys have just gone 2 tyres and a splash of fuel. Martin's gone... Strange pit stop length for Martin, 12.4 second stop, so... I'm not sure as to how long or what he's done at the pit stop, but he doesn't seem to be too worried about working his way back up through the field.
I think if you want to see how you do oval racing, Martin knows. It doesn't matter what happens during the race. He will be there at the end. There's no doubt about that. It doesn't matter where he is right now or what he does during the race or what strategy he is on. He will be there at the end. There's no two ways about that.
Yep, he'll be definitely in with the shot, whether he can win it or not. I know that when I saw the entry list and saw his name at the top of the timesheets, I was not surprised one little bit. On screen is Beau Albert, who has received a lucky dog in that very, very unwell looking Ford Fusion. We've still got 2 more to go to green.
Sorry, it sounded like you threw to me then, and I'm trying to read text messages on the chats. I'm not used to this commentating stuff. I'm trying to do two things at once.
You are a bit of a noob.
I'm worrying more about the beer that's empty and
I was going to say you're worrying more about not swearing, because I know that's tough for you to do, but interesting listening on board with Aaron Farmer. No surprise to you or I, but maybe a surprise to a lot of others how much he is fuel saving right now. If he can get one more lap due to due to the length of time under caution, that will pay dividends later on. Saying that, I wouldn't be surprised if we get one more caution until before we start to see green flag pit stops. I don't think we'll see green flag stops until later on in this race.
Yeah, usually takes a couple of early cautions, and then everyone settles down and goes, "Hang on, this is not good. We got to get through this shit."
Stuff.
Right, stuff. That's happened already.
That didn't take long. Oh my.
Nah.
What I was going to say is, you realise how boring the race can be when you're under caution for so long, and it sort of triggers a switch in your head, and you go, well, hang on, this isn't fun. Maybe I'll just take my time. There's no need to do that, and it really changes the mindset of a lot of drivers. Once they have a few laps under caution, get two, maybe another caution, then after that, all of a sudden the switch flicks and everyone is back into gear, back going in the right direction.
And it's amazing how little it takes, and then everyone goes overcautious. And then you might have 3-4 stints where you don't have a yellow flag, so they can turn so quickly. So what Jason Martin has done and taken his pit stop there is he might have thought, you know what, we've had the couple of early cautions, we might go green for a little while here. I'll take my stop now under caution and I'll be looking pretty good.
And Martin, probably one of the most confident driving in a pack. He knows how to drive. Viewers may not have seen him too much here on V8's Online, but no, Mitch, we've done more than enough oval racing with Jason to know that he can come through from way back in the field. We've seen him come from laps down to win races in bizarre fashion just because he is so smart at how he can do this.
Oh, exactly. And it doesn't matter what happens to me in a race or my teammates in a race or Martin in a race, we always end up at the front trying to battle it out at the end of a race. And it doesn't matter where you are, if it's Daytona or Bristol, like the two opposite ends of the spectrum. He's always there. He's always there. And it doesn't matter how your race has gone or how his race has gone up until then. He's just there waiting to pounce.
So we are about ready to get the green flag signal. We will have 19 laps complete.
Yeah, right.
It's been a long day of broadcasting already here on V8's Online, as we are live for two broadcasts at the same time. We are green, and we are now coming up to 1/10 complete for round 2 of the 2018 Major Series. Good jump from Farmer. Roger Clark not able to shuffle down onto the low line, and we're going to go 2 by 2 into turn 1.
We've got 3 wide back in the back as well, but
big contact at the front between Roger Clark and Shane Bowen. That was the second and third place cars. Bowen has continued on. We are staying green. Actually, there's another wreck just ahead. That is Samuel Harris, and we are staying green.
Well, I didn't actually see what happened there, but might have to get a replay of that one up there because I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, it was strange. It was side by side, and almost as if Bowen was a little bit distracted coming into turn 1 and just shuffled a little bit high and caused contact. It was a very strange one. Actually, in the background too, actually noticing Brant Tucker got turned around at the restart as well. Possibly a little bit of netcode contact, and then all of a sudden Bowen was up the track and there was contact. We're going to replay of Brant Tucker's incident as well. We're still green out on circuit, but Tucker got checked up and then behind, I'm not quite sure what that car was behind, and made contact with Brant, and he's gone from being our biggest mover to our biggest loser, unfortunately. We come back live at the front of the field. Farmer, Clark and Adam McLeod shuffled on the outside is the car of Daniel Stevens, and have a look at who's just in behind Michael Lett. We've got Jason Martin, and not far off getting a push from Riley Blythe as well.
I was still having a look at that turn 1 incident, and it looks like Shane Bowen, he's held his line not too bad, and then you've had Roger Clark. He's turned out so sharply. I don't know what he was trying to do there. Like, turning so hard on an oval super speedway. Don't know what he was trying to do there,
It
but
was strange, wasn't it?
it was very strange. So I think that and a bit of lag contact has caused all of that. But looks like Rogers got away with that one.
Yep, Rogers definitely got away with it, and good news is Shane Bowen is continuing on. He is a little bit off the pace, but the way that this race is looking is we're on board with Daniel Stevens. Big check-up contact between Michaelette and the car of Brad Matheson. They were 3 wide coming into 1. Gladly they've shuffled back in the line. Michaelette stuck way up on the wall. He comes back down. He's going to lose a fair bit of ground.
He'll be having so much deja vu, and he's thinking, nah, not twice in the first few laps.
He's already used his quick repair as well, so he's got to be careful and nurse that car.
Well, he's already got more signs of damage on it, so
yeah,
he's going to be backing out of every single little thing until the very late stages of this race.
Graham
Now we've got
Ermacombe
Jason
behind.
And we've got Jason Martin leading the siege on the outside here at the moment, looking like he's trying to make a bit of a push to the lead again. He's like, all right, I know it's a long race, but I'd rather not be sitting back here where there's chances of bad things happening.
Well, I think he saw what happened at that restart and goes, no way do I want to be back here. I want to be back at the front. Much more safer at the front, especially when you've got other drivers around you that you can trust. And I know that he will trust Aaron Farmer, and I know that Aaron would trust Jason tucked in behind as well. As we are now at
the biggest drama he's got, though, is he's outside by himself. So
yeah, no one's helping him, is there?
No, everyone's like, yeah, no, nice job, Jason. You can go chill out there if you want, but we're not coming to help you. You're in there, buddy.
Which is surprising, because I know that guys that are experienced and have raced with Jason, they would be very, very eager to get out there and help him, because they would know how good a driver they are. I'm actually surprised that Riley Blythe and Scott Larnack haven't jumped in behind and tried to help him and work their way up to the front as well, because where they're tucked in, not necessarily a good spot, especially with how hot these cars can get stuck in behind another car as well.
Although my secret weapon to doing these races is just don't be the guy that needs to push the whole time. If you're third, fourth on the inside, I just chill there.
Yeah.
I just wait until the end, and that's it. So Jason out on the outside, there's not going to be a great deal of people rushing out there to help him, I don't think.
No.
Although in saying that, we've just had TJ Brown move up.
I think we've
TJ might be thinking, all right, Jason, I trust you. Give me a little bit of a touch in the bum and we'll go forwards, eh?
Yep, I wouldn't actually be surprised if TJ was almost forced out there shuffled a little bit wide from Riley Blythe up the inside, and they're getting a little bit of help. Sometimes when you're being bumped, you're not quite sure what is going on behind you, so you almost think, oh, well, I better get out of the way. And guys that are inexperienced, oh, geez, that was close between Brown and McLeod.
There's always a McLeod causing some chaos, isn't there?
Always a McLeod at the front of a NASCAR field that's causing havoc. Now Adam's doing a very, very good job. Tucked in behind Roger Clark. Just sitting in probably the best spot at the moment. Riley Blythe's the one that looks like he wants to try and force an issue and get this thing moving. Definitely bumping. Don't drop below the yellow line though, mate. Oh, this is going to get messy. Blythe's
I was about to say,
wide.
McLeod is sitting exactly where this McLeod would like to be sitting as well.
Oh, car in the fence! Comes back across the track. Who was that? That's Brad Matheson. Big wreck coming into out of turn 4. We're staying green.
Oh, there's another one. Scott Larnage is in the fence as well.
Wow, big accidents. As the guys start to shuffle, we're in that point in this stint where some guys are starting to not feel as comfortable, or the car's starting to behave a little bit differently from what they would have been expecting. As we're just seeing CPR replay of Brad Matheson, who come up on that pack that was really, really checked up, tried to go wide, and just behind Daniel Stevens and Brett Loxton, they come together up on the inside of the circuit. And we'll go to another replay and see if we can pick up what happened to Scott Larnack, as TJ Brown has been shuffled now into second position.
I was just having another look at that replay between McLeod and Riley Blythe. And I don't know what Riley's thinking there. You know, bump drafting in the middle of a pack like that, it's just trying to cause some errors, and it's not going to end well.
No. Need to just play with a bit more of a cool head. Take your time. There's no point pushing too hard. We still have about 740 kilometres of racing to go. Long, long way to go in this one.
I can't believe that Jason... Oh, it's TJ Brown still on the outside.
Yep, Jason Martin's tucked back on the inside and TJ Brown still stuck out high, trying to give him a bit of side draft, but going to be very, very tough to do. He needs to try and shuffle into that gap behind Corey Ott, who's moved his way up through the field quite impressively, saying that gap has closed up pretty quick. And Corey actually jumped out of the commentary booth from the OEC broadcast about 10 minutes before the start of this race, so he's done no practice in this warm-up session. Doing a good job just driving along in 7th. TJ does tack back in the line. Good to see Corey out on track.
I'd just like to point out that there is a McLeod that we have been talking about, Adam J. McLeod. He's the biggest mover of the race, so it must be a McLeod trait that they have.
Look out. We're still green. We are now 30 laps down, 170 to go. In this next phase, this phase of the race right now looks like it may settle a bit. After that little incident with a couple of cars when we've stayed green, I feel like a few drivers have realised how easy it is to make mistakes and have sort of turned that switch that we were talking about before. We didn't necessarily get that caution, but we've seen how easy things can change and how easy things can happen. And looks like now, front of the field, tucked in single file, and are driving a little bit more smart now.
Yeah, exactly. And like I was saying in the middle of the last caution, it takes a couple and then it quietens down, and it'll be a very long time till the next one. So I think it's going to be waiting, you know, a couple of lap cars coming up now, so there might be a little bit of a caution situation coming up if someone doesn't quite read which way they're going to go in the right amount of time. So you never know. It's all still to play for, but it looks like it's settling down a little bit.
Yeah, Brant Tucker is about to get past, and I know that Brant doesn't do a huge amount of oval racing or a huge amount of NASCAR racing, so he may not know which way to go here. Smart move would be to go high and hold the outside line, but some other drivers prefer the cars being lapped to go to the inside, and Brant does go out to the outside wall and is being passed quite easily, so he does go lap down, but he will be the lucky dog in the situation of a caution in the next little while. It's a fair way until the next car a lap down.
And from here on in, he'll more than likely be able to pick up the tail of the field, maybe. Although they're getting away pretty quick. He might have a little bit too much damage.
Yep. They'll be looking to potentially use that fast repair in a little bit and try and...
I'll tell you what, the next battle pack though, from that lead group, that's starting to look pretty damn feisty.
Yep, you're not wrong about that. We've got Graham Amaroka, Mike Ollett, Scott Griffiths, Jake Fox, Anthony Green, Mark Dredge, Brock Cadday, Dean Mole, Daniel Atchison, Robert Northway, all in this pack. So we've got 10 cars in this secondary battle pack, and these guys are fighting hard. They are not wanting to drop too much time, but they are losing ground of around about 3 to 4 tenths of a second a lap to that lead group. Gap between 14th and 13th is now 4.5 seconds, so they are definitely losing ground. And Graham Amaruka might nearly be smarter for him to tuck in behind one of these other cars and see if another car is faster as the lead car, tuck in behind and use that draft advantage. Actually, looking at the speed difference between these guys and our lead pack, this secondary pack around about 4 or 5 kilometres an hour slower than our leading pack, so not surprising that that gap is starting to stretch a little bit.
I'm still rather surprised how many people are still on this lead group. All single file. Top 13, still single file. That's not a bad effort, to be honest.
It's really good to see. Really encouraging to see how close these guys are battling. And we were saying at the last caution that Jason Martin will work his way back forward. He has, and he's now back into P number 3. And
I think the biggest
quite
mistake
happy
we
there.
said was worked. I don't think he even worked to get there. He just got there.
Yeah, he just
Didn't have to
magically
work
turned
for
up.
it.
He just had that little bit of a moment when he was stuck up on the outside, and then got his way back into the bottom groove, and away he's gone again. Riley
And that's
Blythe-
one of the biggest thing though. In these races, you need to be able to read what every other competitor is doing in front of you. And if you can read, all right, this is getting a little bit messy. I'm going to go to the outside where it's not going to be quicker, but it's going to be better if something happens in front of me. He just knows the right places to put his car to avoid the chaos.
Yep, and he's done a very, very good job of avoiding chaos in this one so far. Now, Roger Clark, a little bit of damage to his car, but he's quite happy and content, tucked in behind the 986 of Aaron Farmer. As we come out of turn number 2. We're almost 40 laps in already. This is just flying by. Now that we've stayed green for this second stint, this race is really going by quick. It's unbelievable. We're not far off seeing our front 2 cars potentially having to dive into the pits for some green flag pit stops.
That's a good point, because they're pretty much the only 2 cars in the field that have not pitted. And they've both only gained 2 places each, so, you know, in theory, Jason Martin, he's lost 2 places. The other 2 guys in front of him are the only 2 guys to have not pitted. So, Jason Martin looking very bloody good here.
He's looking really good at the moment. Riley Blythe is very, very good, tucked in behind. Now that he's worked himself out a little bit, he's probably received a message off Jason telling him not to bump and not to push as they come on by the car of Brett Loxton, who is already unfortunately 9 laps down. But Aaron Farmer, Roger Clark, I'm going to say next time by they'll be in.
I'm not actually sure what you can get out of the stint here. They've done 38 laps so far. Jason Martin has done 22 laps on this stint so far, so it's not a huge difference, but once the pit stops start, he's out of sequence. So once you start coming out into traffic and everyone getting back up to speed, that's when the cautions start to happen again. So Jason Martin, he's going to have to take on less fuel, get back out, and he'll be looking in a good spot.
Yep, he's sitting in a pretty good position right now. Will we see our lead 2 cars come in? No. They were saving fuel quite aggressively, so they might be able to go a couple extra looking green flag runs, usually around 35 to 40 laps, depending on how much tape and how much of a draft pack they are, whether they are pushing or at the lead as well. So the pack that we have been watching here, 13 in this pack. The next pack behind have dropped altogether. They are now 7 seconds behind. But Farmer and Clark will need to come in and make their first stop under green flag, the way it's looking right now, because they are going to struggle to go too many more laps. And it's quite evident as the way the race is unfolding right now that we won't see too many more cautions, because everyone is being quite cautious. Great to see. So Farmer leads Clark, then Jason Martin in 3rd, Riley Blythe in 4th, TJ Brown in 5th, Adam McLeod in 6th, Corey Ott 7th, Christopher Norton in 8th, John King, man who started in 2nd position, he's worked his way back up to 9th after getting shuffled back in that last phase of pit stops. And Wayne Burke, another driver that is quite familiar to racing NASCAR, is in 10th position. And Wayne quite happy sitting on that outside row. Is also getting shuffled out to the outside is Corey Ott. Not necessarily a bad position to be right now, being on the outside. As into the lane come our leaders. No, they're going to continue on for another one. Now just ahead of Aaron Farmer about to go a lap down is Shane Bowen. Now remember, Shane Bowen restarted that last restart in third, got shuffled out. He is now back in the field. He needs to pit. He needs to make a green flag stop as well. He's going to get gobbled up here. And unfortunately, strategy-wise, it has not worked out for him for now. Will we see Farmer in this time? Nope, going to go again. This will be 43 laps in this stint. Of course, there was 2 cautions already, so he may be able to get a fair bit of extra lap times in, or fair few extra lap times in, I should say. Seeing a car getting shuffled back down the field. Jake Fox looping it on the front straight. We'll see if we can pick up a replay as to what happened to Jake. He was in this lead pack, so not sure what's happened to him. Sorry, he was in the secondary pack. There was contact between he and the 12 car of Graham Amaroka. I'm surprised there was no caution there. You see Fox on the outside just here. There is a caution now, so caution has come out, and that will save Farmer, Clark, and also Shane Bowen. But that caution took a long time to come out. Looks like Brock Cadday may have been involved in our caution. We'll stay with our CPR replay. See if we can pick up what's happened to Brock. I can see he has left the circuit. I think we might be seeing an almost carbon copy of what we saw earlier. Bump drafting and around we go. That was a massive hit. And Brock, unfortunately, looks like he is out of the race. We'll see if we can pick up who exactly was behind. There's the 471 of Daniel Aitchison. And that's purely an experience incident there, where Daniel probably not quite used to what to do coming up behind a car going that much faster, while he's going that much faster, I should say, and that's unfortunately ended Brock Cadday's race. Daniel Aitchison also in the pits, and I believe he's used both of his quick repairs. Into the pits come all of our lead cars. I highly doubt we will see anyone stay out, because we had 27 laps since the last caution. So Farmer, Clark, Martin, everyone coming in. A very big positive. And Brant Tucker should get the wave around right now. And away goes Martin, away goes Farmer. Corey Ott into 3rd position. Good job from him in the pit stops. But Martin now resumes the race lead. Aaron Farmer 2nd. And biggest loser out of that pit stop, Roger Clark. He's dropped back to 6th. But well done to Corey Ott for very good pit stop. Fastest pit stop other than Jason Martin that time around. Martin, they are 15-second flat for his pit stop, 15.2 for Corey Ott, and Matthew Raymond also 15-second flat for his pit stop. We now have, with Brant Tucker getting back around with his Lucky Dog, we now have 26 cars on the lead lap. 27 cars, I should say. A few cars that are a little bit out of sequence that are in behind the pace car. They will get waved around in a little while, but Jason Martin leads the field from Aaron Farmer, Corey Ott, and Wayne Burke. Dean Moll comes back in for another pit stop. Not a bad move to get yourself out of position if you don't like where you are sitting. good to see we had a decent green flag run there. Would have been nice to finish that off with a bit of green flag pit stops, but fortunately we didn't get that happening. Don't forget, as we said, you can be a part of this series if you would like to. PacificMajors.com. The next race in this series is the Copper Classic at the wonderful Phoenix International Raceway with the Silver Crowns. Our international race date will match up once again with the rest of the world. Of course, this race being 1 week earlier than the rest of the world. So next round we'll be back on schedule. The Silver Crown at Phoenix. Do 200 laps once again. And really excited to see how the next round plays out. That will be on the 18th of March. So we've got 1 month to build for that one. Really looking forward to that. Of course, heaps of big events coming up on V8s Online as well. We said during our last few broadcasts, V8 Scops, the world's biggest V8 Supercar League, will resume next weekend. Be live from 6 p.m. Sydney for V8 Scops. Big thanks to VRS, Virtual Racing School, and CPR Cut and Sim Parts for jumping on board as our major sponsors for 2018. Really looking forward to getting that one underway next Sunday for that series. V8 Scops definitely shaping up to be another amazing series once again as the cars get waved by the pace car. Lights are out on the top of the iRacing Ford Mustang, and we get ready to go for the third restart in this race.
And I'm back.
Thank goodness for that. You're back. I nearly ran out of things to say. As you left just as the caution come out too, so it was almost like you planned that to happen. But
I must
massive
have.
moment.
I miss all the exciting stuff, and the old man does say, "Hello, Jay."
Oh, hello to Sam. And Jason Martin, big win out of the pit stops as well as Corey Ott, but I think that really did save Aaron Farmer and Roger Clark. They were on that alternate strategy, and it really would have hurt them if they had to make green flag stops and then that caution come out after. So definitely saved them. Hopefully we get a nice big long green flag run right now as they come through turn number 4.
But as I was saying before, Jason Martin knew that there must be a caution coming up soon. You can't go 3 cautions the way that they were going. He decided to take his pit stop, and now look at him. He's in the front of the field, he's controlling everyone, and a nice little getaway from him again, and is leading the field away once again.
Yep, and looks like Farmer has not been able to get ahead of Ott, and they're staying side by side coming up into turn number 1 and number 2. Farmer now going to have to shuffle in behind Corey Ott. Now, Corey not very experienced in racing, plate racing, NASCARs, so this is going to be very, very interesting to see how Corey goes. He's going to go to the outside and let Aaron Farmer in, is he? No. Corey Ott's going to try to go around the outside and take the race lead. This will not work, but very, very good to see that Corey playing a little bit smart, trying to be a little bit ambitious, and trying to make something happen.
I'm actually quite surprised by that, because the outside has not made a pass for the lead yet, which doesn't mean it won't, but it hasn't worked yet. A few of them were already dropping back, and he decides that pulling up right now is the best way. But I guess the only thing you can do is learn from these things. Learn, all right, does this work or does it not work? And that's something that Jason Martin and a few others won't have in the memory bank for later on in the race. So why not try it now when you can still regain a bit of time?
Well, one thing too, maybe Corey didn't feel comfortable being the second car in the pack, didn't want those guys in behind, didn't want the pressure of being the one to help Jason Martin, or didn't know what to do being the second place car, didn't feel comfortable with it, so wanted to get out of it, get himself out of that situation, and then tuck back into line, back in the field a little bit.
Well, I completely agree there because I hate being the dude that needs to push because the worst case scenario is you push like mad, your car starts to overheat, and then you got cars coming around the outside of you, and you can't move to get the clean air to cool your car down. So the best case scenario is, well, there's still a long way to go in this race. We've still got 150 laps to go. Why not pull out, lose a few spots, and then you can just sit there, just chill in the draft and just wait for your time.
We are now officially a quarter of the way through this race. This race is literally flying by. I'm amazed at how quick these first 50 laps have gone. We've had 3 cautions. No surprise that we've had a couple of cautions, but I think that big long green run we had just before, that has impressed almost everyone in this race, you and I included.
Yeah, for sure. Like, there's been a few little sketchy moments here and there through it, but somehow they got through it, and there hasn't been as many cautions as I thought there might have been.
We're on board with Riley Blythe. He's the 4th car in the field, the 4th car in line, and there's a little bit of a gap between he and Corey Ott in 5th, but that will close up. But Riley probably gave himself a little bit of a heart attack moment at the start with those couple of issues. But since then, he's really tucked into line and playing it smart after that last, what brought out the second caution. He's been really intelligent with how he's driven since that point.
Which, to be honest, he really needed to be, because there's only so many times at a super speedway that you can sort of push your limits the way that he was pushing them in the first few laps. And I think he got away with a couple and might have made him realise that, oh, hang on, this can go bad real fast. So looks like at the moment he's just happy to be sitting in 4th, just sitting in the draft, making sure that he's not bumping the guy in front, because if you bump the guy in front of you, which is in 3rd, bumps the guy in 2nd, bumps the guy in 1st, and it's just a chain reaction. All of a sudden, everything goes bad, and it's all in front of you. There's nothing to be gained out of bumping the guy in front of you if you're down in the pack a little bit, because it just causes a chain reaction. Everyone spins in front of you, and there's nowhere to go. So it only ruins yourself more than anyone else. So
yep.
I think he's just sitting there, being cautious, making sure he's got to do what he does to get to the end.
Yep. If he can come away with a decent finish, 4th is by far and away a decent finish in this race. With the calibre of driver we've got in this field, if you can finish in the top 10, I think that's quite an achievement. If you can finish the race on the lead lap, that's a brilliant effort. If you can finish the race with a car that's going at 100% speed, that's a brilliant effort. But for me, if you can finish a super speedway race, that's as good as a win.
Oh, if I was in this race, if I didn't finish, I'd be upset. If I finished, I'd be pretty happy. But in saying that, if I had damage where I knew I couldn't push for the win, I'd probably say, well, you know what, I'm going to be one of those losers that just gives up and bails out. It's one of those rage quit scenarios.
Good thing is, all the drivers do have a quick repair, so they can get back out there with a little bit of damage and get their car fixed and go again. And we've seen already a few guys, unfortunately, have had to use it, but I think that's cool, especially in such a long race and guys that are a little bit inexperienced. The fact that we've got a quick repair up for grabs and available for these guys, I think is a real positive.
It is, and I'm in two minds about the quick repair. I like it because if someone does something a little bit stupid around you and you get caught up in somebody else's incident, you can take the option, if you've got slight damage, to not use it, and it adds that little bit of strategy. So if you have a slight brush with the wall and you might have 2 minutes worth of damage, you can get that lap back. If you play it right, you can get it all back and then use quick repair towards the end of the race and get yourself back into a condition of winning the race. But without it, the race might be just over straight away and within the first few laps. So it puts me in two minds. It can create that little bit of, I've got a quick repair, so I'm going to push a little bit. But then at the same time, if something unfortunate happens, you've got that sort of a lifeline that you can get out of.
Yeah, it's got real positives and negatives if you don't understand what we're talking about. It's a spare car, essentially. You can come into the pits and get your car repaired for free and get yourself back out there with a fresh fresh car as it is straight out of the truck. And yeah, you're right. We've seen in some series having that repair option there is a real positive, because you know, if someone does make a little bit of a mistake and you're involved in someone else's stupidity, you're saved. But at the same time, there's always that one guy, I've got a quick repair, so it doesn't matter, I'll push a little bit harder. So
and most of the time they are wearing a Torque Ink skin, so
that's only because you put the Torque Ink skins up on trading paints for anyone.
no, most of the time it is actually one of our drivers that think, I've got a quick repair, we can do this. Let's go 3 wide, why not? It's only lap 2, but we'll do it.
Yeah, it does sometimes tend to add a little bit of stupidity, but I think for this race, having that option has been really, really cool, and we've seen a few guys get back out there after being involved in some unfortunate incidents and still pushing on. Mike Ollette's probably the main one for me. He was unfortunately involved in an incident on lap 6, and he's got back out there with his spare car, still pushing on. A little bit of damage to his spare, and going again in 19th position for now, and still pushing on, going forward and leading the 3rd pack in this field. So it's separated into 3 true packs, and then there's a few other guys struggling around by themselves for now, as Brett Loxton is about to get passed by this pack. But Jason Martin at the front. These guys now all shuffle back into single file. We have got 11 cars in this front pack. And it's Martin, Raymond, Muggleton. And Muggleton's one that's impressed me. He got shuffled back earlier on. He was stuck in that 2nd pack from the pit stops. He did a really, really good job there and moved his way forward. And then in this restart phase, he's got himself back up into 3rd.
And I'd like to say that I'm a little bit surprised, but I'm not. But the battle pack at the end of the field, that looks the most feisty at the moment.
Yeah, it's probably the one pack you don't want to be in. That's why it's looking as feisty. We've got everyone pretty much 2 by 2 the whole way through this pack. A few teammates trying to help each other. We've got the 19 of Dane Burns and the 61 of Shane Bowen. They're both laps down, but they're trying to work their way back up through the field and get themselves back into contention and back up towards the lead lap. Bowen, of course, we saw he was 3rd at the 2nd restart.
And that is one thing about oval racing that I wish they'd do with road courses on a racing. Have cautions.
Yep.
Because some of the races that you have, especially in GT and some of the longer races, you know, you might get caught up in something at the start, a bit of a caution, throws something in that's unexpected, and if you are a lap down with a lucky dog, there's a reason to still fight. Like these guys that might be a lap or 2 down, there's a reason to be out there and fight, because you know you don't have to be a million times faster than the leader to get your lap back. So there's a little bit of encouragement to say, oi, if you stay out here, we'll give you a lap back, stay in it, you might still win this thing.
Yep, and I think that's the big thing about some of the hosted leagues out there that do have the ability for safety cars. It's a real advantage. You see the front 4 are broken away again. Corey Ott and John King dropped in behind him. We're getting 2 by 2 happening back a little bit in this field. Aaron Farmer shuffled out to the outside. We've got TJ Brown on the outside. These 2 guys, Farmer and Brown, I wonder if they've discussed liveries beforehand, because they're both in the Bundaberg cars.
I had not noticed that. Maybe I've got no trading paints on.
They are definitely both in Bundaberg cars. That's rather funny. I know they are not teammates, but a lot of people that are privateers choose to use a Bundaberg livery. As we go back to the secondary pack, this is not a very big pack. We've got 2 Synergy Sim Racing cars in there together. We've got 2 KRF Motorsport cars in this pack as well. And also got Robert Northway, Jake Fox, and Christopher Norton in this pack as well. So I just seen Corey Ott's about to get passed around the outside. John King's going to get it done around the outside, or is he?
It's not looking very good, to be honest.
No, it's going to be tough.
Out there by himself, the only place he can go is to the end of the line.
Sometimes that's not always a bad move. You can sometimes work to your advantage to get to the back of the queue, and even drop to the back on the outside. You then work with another group and come back forwards again, as you just saw Farmer and Brown and also Samuel Harris thought about going to the outside and working with both Brown and Farmer, but he tucked back in the line. But once again, he's in that outside groove, and it may look like it's about to start working.
There's going to be a lot of cooperation going on to make that outside line work, I think. Like, even in the truck series that I've been doing this week, like, the outside can be faster. There's no doubt about that, but you need to get that side draft as good as you can, and it is risky to get that close to make it
Whoa,
work.
big wreck! Coriot's around. That's involving Farmer, Harris, and also TJ Brown. Yeah, I think that was what we were talking about before, where Coriot was being in the pack and not quite sure what to do or how to handle it. I think he may have got a little bit of a bump from John King and didn't really know how to respond or what to do. It almost frightens you a little bit when you are new to it. And yeah, looks like Ott probably didn't quite realise what was going on, as the rear wheels got a little bit of air underneath them. Could have kept pushing into Riley Blythe, probably got off the throttle. And that is what has caused that caution. Looks like everyone has got going once again. We get a replay looking back from Coriot's car.
Yeah, to me, looking at that replay, it looks like John King the guys in front all started to nose the tail a little bit, and Coriot backed off, and John King just didn't. He kept it nailed. Tried to think, yeah, no, bump draft, this is what we do on these ovals, and it just hasn't worked. Sometimes you got to know when to lift, and sometimes when you got to fold them. Tried to do the gambler a bit of...
yeah, it didn't work.
Failed.
Didn't work. On board here with King, and we'll see. Actually, looking on board with King, it may have been more that Ott got contact in the back of Blythe, and then that unsettled him a little bit. I don't think King did too much wrong there. He definitely was holding the line and holding the wheel straight, and hit Ott fairly flush on, and then Ott moved. So maybe King not as at fault as originally thought, as we see pretty much the entire field at the front come into the lane to take service for this round of pit stops. One car that has not taken to the lane is Jonathan Ben. So Ben has continued on. He is one of your drivers over at Middle Finger Racing that you were going for, Mitch. You got a MFR car in the lead.
And that's the guy. I'm going to be honest right now. Every time I mention MFR, so this is another time that I've mentioned MFR, so that's what, 4 or 5 now. So MFR in the lead. That's really great to see from MFR. Every time I mention the MFRs in the race, I get a free beer.
Oh,
so it's great to see MFR doing such a great job for MFR.
They've got 2 cars out on track at the moment. And Ben, I'm actually surprised with this play of staying out. He, as well as Graham Amaroka, have stayed out. Riley Blythe looks like has only taken 2 tyres.
Which is not a bad move, because really, 2 tyres here, it makes it a little bit more stable. It's a little bit easier to hold your line, but it's not the be-all. It doesn't make you faster. It just makes it easier to stay on your line. So it does limit the risk of drifting up a little bit into another car, or, you know, making contact with another car, but it doesn't actually make you faster as such.
He did miss a pun that you could have taken quite easily, because that ought to hurt.
Wow.
Well, you just got to send it.
No.
That is how he has his name on Discord, so that's why I can use that one. But yeah, Corey has got his car fixed and back out there. He's dropped back to 22nd position, but still going, using that quick repair as we are 1/3 of the way through this race. All right, I'll stop with the puns.
Yeah, just no.
Much better than you did.
I'm still disappointed
Why?
because it was horrible.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Fair enough.
The amount of puns that I've come out with in our private Facebook group, and you just shut them down, and that was below all of them for sure.
It was pretty bad. I apologise to everyone for that terrible.
But if that's the standard you're going to set, then let the puns fly because it's going to be a punny good time.
Oh my. Seeing Robert Northway in the 55 car, he looks like he may be race done. He's stopped and still stops, and hopefully he can get back out on track and still going, but he looks like he may be getting a bit of damage repaired. So we are 66 laps complete. We are 166 miles done. We are 200 kilometres in the books. We're about to complete 1/3 race distance. And amazingly, we've just been green for just on an hour. This race at the current pace will be over in 3 hours, and that's almost unheard of in a Daytona 500.
What's the actual record of a Daytona 500 race?
Real one?
Yeah.
Good question. Let us know. I don't think we'll break the record because I can see many a caution coming up in the near future, but
I thought you were the Pro Time broadcaster.
Nah.
You'd have all these stats on hand, but
you know
not.
how prepared I am for things.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I'll do all the hard work. Don't worry.
What, you Googling it now?
Yes.
So Ben, for the first time, will lead the field away at this restart. Riley Blythe in second on the outside row, and Graham Emaroka third. Interesting to see what happens between Ben and Emaroka. Those guys halfway through a fuel load, so I'm very surprised that they didn't come in to the pits and get their pit service done. Brant Tucker is still going, for those asking in the chat. He's still going in 25th position, still on the lead lap, which is all he wanted to do. So we get ready to get things underway.
And before we do, a couple of little stats. Most wins by a driver at this track for the Daytona 500. Richard Petty, he's had 7. Most wins by a team, Petty Enterprises, 9.
Still doesn't answer the question that you actually had.
Oh, I haven't read that far yet.
Here we go, we're about ready to get the green flag in the air as the iRacing Ford Mustang pace car peels off into the pits, and we get ready to get green flag underway. Restart number 4. And good jump on the inside row from Ben Blythe. Probably a little bit slow off the mark. He might have to tuck in behind Emaroka, but this may be the first time we see the outside line work because fresh tyres now starting to be a little bit more of a factor. Blythe has tucked in front of Emaroka. King also still on the outside looking to go around Emaroka, and also going out there too, Harris and Martin. Actually, sorry, Martin on the inside, and on the outside, Roger Clark. So Martin's already worked his way up into 7th position, and sneaking on that inside row, tucked in behind Josh Nowak. But we may actually see a pass happen on the outside row because around goes John King and Samuel Harris. They've got the move done on Graham Emaroka. Will we see Harris get back up on the inside line? I don't know if he's going to be able to yet.
Looks like a few of them are going to try and hang out on the outside to see if they can make it work.
There was almost contact there between Harris and Emaroka. Emaroka ran very, very wide, drifted up the circuit. We've got a slow car getting lapped. That's James Kingsland, who we saw involved in the second caution.
Which I reckon if you get a few guys on the outside that actually know how to bump draft cleanly and know how to use the side draft to their advantage. Oh, we've got a caution.
We're trying to see, possibly Shane Bowen's been involved in an incident coming out of Turn number 4, and it looks like Martin Houston also involved in that one. This could be a bit of a free kick for Ben and for Amaroka, because I think they were going to get absolutely run over in the next little bit there, as we're just seeing a replay. 370 car, Brad Matheson, contact into the 32 of Martin Houston and sent him around.
Yeah, absolutely nailed him.
Cannot bump draft in the corners like that. That is impossible to do. Never has worked, never will work. Unfortunately, that has ended the day, or ended the moment. We actually saw teammates come together between Shane Bowen and Dane Burns as well. That's unfortunate for those guys who are on board with Shane Bowen. He had nowhere to go coming up to that caution.
Although in Brad Matheson's defence, Martin Houston was a long way up, come back down at the last second.
Yep.
Any normal time, you can bump draft, no dramas, but every now and then you got to give a little bit to get through. So, yeah, bit of blame on both of them on that one.
Yep. So Houston probably went a little bit wide, saw that car on the apron and thought, oh, I better get out of the way and make sure I'm fine. But yeah, you've got to be careful when you come back down and make sure that there's no overlap. So Houston definitely has some part to blame in that incident, as the pit lane is open. As expected, we have Graham Amaroka into the pits, but surprisingly, Jonathan Ben has stayed out. I'm surprised by this.
Well, there must be some MFR tactics going on there. I don't know what they're planning, but
Oh my.
I was trying to make some things up, but I've got nothing. So we'll just say MFR is currently leading. Riley Blythe in second, and yeah, MFR is leading.
Yep, King in third, and then Samuel Harris fourth, Roger Clark in fifth. That inside line in that secondary pack that was stuck in behind Graham Amaroka, they really struggled to get pace up at the end of that run there. So surprisingly that they have now shuffled back. Those guys on that inside row, Raymond, Nowak and Martin, they are behind those guys that were working that outside and actually made the outside line work. So for the first time tonight, we have seen the outside line legitimately work.
I think the biggest thing is going to be who is where as to which line's going to work. If you've got some experienced guys on the outside that have done this thing before in super speedways, knowing how to bump draft, how to hold their line, get as close as possible, know when things are going a little bit pear-shaped, and knowing when to back out, the outside line is definitely going to be where you want to be at the end.
Yep.
But
right.
In saying that, I think it's going to be whoever's on the inside on the last lap will win. That's my big call. But I reckon it'll be Jason Martin in the front, because he'll find a way there with one of his little freak show things that he does and gets there at the end. But I reckon Jason Martin on the inside. I reckon there'll be a push from the outside, but I don't think it'll work because, yeah, you need a team of guys to be knowing exactly what they're doing to make it work on the outside.
James Kingsland has got the lucky dog, despite being 5 laps down, or 6 laps down, because Northway, who is already in the pits, Burns, Bowen and Houston are the other guys that were laps down ahead of him, but they were all involved in bringing out that caution, so they negated their opportunity of getting the lucky dog. And the lucky dog was awarded to Kingsland instead, and he now
another example of cautions.
Yep. Never over until it's over.
Yep. 5 laps down now becomes 4, and it's still within reach.
Yep.
A lap. Imagine getting a lap back in a road race.
That would be good.
Like if you timed the pit stop perfectly and then caution happened, it'd just be so much better. Especially in like a Daytona 24-hour. Like, come on, racing, do it.
Now,
cautions.
those of you that are wondering why Mitch and my banter levels are a little bit higher than normal, probably need to know a little bit of backstory about Mitchell and myself. Now, Mitch and I have known each other
Don't lower me to that level.
Mitch and I have known ourselves for quite a long time, and we are technically, in some way, somehow, family. Because
There's no two ways about it. We actually are
well,
now.
I don't know. Well, I suppose my brother Mitch's sister are married, and that is pretty much how this shambles of a friendship comes about. But that's why our banter levels are quite high, because we do know each other quite well out of iRacing, and we do see each other quite a lot, and we also race on the same team together, which makes it even more enjoyable to have this banter.
Yeah, well, now you say that, I've forgotten that we're actually family, so I'm going to have to step it up a little.
You have to step up the banter levels.
You know my family, I know your family.
Yeah, we don't really want to say
I
too
know,
much, do we?
Yeah, I know the audience that's out there, and
And
sometimes...
that involves some of our family.
Yeah, sometimes, but I'm going to have to be a little bit careful on what I say.
Yeah, I do know that things that have been said have come back to haunt me, with people knowing my partner and getting told what I've said in a broadcast. I've got in trouble many a time for saying, "Why did you say that in the broadcast?" So thank you to whoever has told my partner what I've said in the broadcast. I don't know who you are, but I've got my suspicions.
Well, it's...
Probably you, actually, half the time.
Oh, more than likely. I can't remember what to say. I can't read it. I can't remember that long.
Here we go. We're about to get back underway. Back under green. I'm really surprised that Ben stayed out here. I don't know what his plan is or what he's hoping to achieve by staying out, because if there's no caution in the next 10 laps, he is going to have to pit under green by himself. It will not work. It never has worked. It never will work. We're going to go green though. We'll see what Ben has up his sleeve. Green flag flies. We are underway, resuming 74 laps complete. And Riley Blythe with a really good run on the outside row.
As you said, that Ben needs to pit very soon, otherwise this won't work. I am trying to get my hardest little bit of inside gloss to see what's going on with MFR. They might have some ultimotive here that... Whoa!
I don't know what an ultimotive is, but I think you're meaning ulterior motive.
You know what I'm talking
I
about.
do.
That's why we're family.
Oh, so Blythe has dropped back, and King looking to move up the track and up the field. And Roger Clark is one that's also one to watch here. Very, very experienced campaigner. Runs a lot of over racing, pretty much exclusively runs ovals in the AusNZ community, in the AusNZ time zone. So we'll see what Roger can do. Be good to see if he can move his way up towards the pointy end. It'll be awesome to see if Clark and Martin can battle themselves out for the win, as well as Aaron Farmer, three guys that are very, very experienced oval drivers in the AusNZ community. If they can work their way to the front. At the moment, Ben doing enough, but Blythe might be able to get a bit of a run here, a bit of momentum. Is he going to be able to get an overlap and then be able to get a move done?
It's going to be very interesting, and I think Riley, he's got his sights set on first. He's made a couple of risky moves to begin with, although he's just all of a sudden lost all contact with anyone behind him.
Yep.
So my theory that I was about to suggest is...
Have a look who has gone to the outside row though, and looks like he's coming up to help. Two guys that have been working together quite well. Matthew Raymond, Jason Martin, both gone to the outside row and both look to try and make this work. This could get really interesting here.
If there's anyone that you want to be pushing here, it's Martin. In this race right now, Martin's is one. And, wow, everyone on the inside just went up to the outside. It's like, all right, Martin's up there. That must be the place to go.
Yep, so Ben now drops back to third. King now leads from Harris. Blythe in fourth. Clark.
Oh, they're getting close on the start straight as well.
Really messy here, and almost contact between Riley Blythe and Jonathan Ben. This is going to get real messy real soon, I feel.
I just want to be out there. Just put your nose in it. Just to, wait, I'm here. Whoa, sorry, I messed up.
Here we go. A little bit of almost contact between Ben and Blythe. Ben ran a little bit wide through the exit of turn 2. Couldn't quite hold it on the apron. And Blythe, whilst being stuck out there by himself, is somehow making it work. And I wouldn't be surprised if Roger Clark sticks in between Blythe and Raymond on that outside row. And then we have those 4 cars working together on the outside.
It'd be interesting to wonder what's going through the mind of the guys on the outside at the moment. Are they doing this to try and get better track position? Or are they doing this purely just find out, all right, what are these guys made of? Can we make the outside work if it comes to the crunch in the last 5-10 laps?
You know, they're sort of testing the water for 100 laps time, aren't they? Trying to work out, oh, there we go, big one. Jonathan Ben, Jason Martin involved. This is the big one we knew was going to be coming. This is a huge wreck. Jonathan Ben was the one that I saw go across the track. I'm not sure as to how that all started, but this is a massive, massive, massive crash. And
Yep,
big
that's
names
one
are
of
all
the big
involved.
ones.
So Ben saw come across the track. I'm not sure as to how that started or who started it. Possibly... Yeah, I'm not sure. We're going to have
that
another
might
look
have
at
been
that.
Riley.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I have been pretty critical of Riley already this race. And I've had a few run-ins, and I'm trying to hold it against, like, out of this, but he has definitely 100% caused this one because he's just moved down into the inside line thinking that, oh, I've got overlap. Oh, I don't have any overlap. And he's caused the big one. It's absolutely not acceptable.
Yeah, that's probably, yeah, definitely wasn't overlap. He might have even heard that his spotter said clear, but just because your spotter says clear does not necessarily mean you are. And he has unfortunately brought out big caution. Ben, Larnack, Olette, Blythe, who else involved in that? Dredge. We saw Roger Clark upside down. Martin, Farmer. Seen a big, big chunk of this field involved in that big one right there on lap number 79. There's quite a few crushed egos right now in the pits as we get some drivers in for pit service. John King out. Mark Samuels will take the race lead. He has got out ahead of John King. And have a look at who slotted himself into second. He was a little bit involved in that wreck. But Michael Ott somehow managed to get himself clear and into second position. This is pretty impressive considering the unfortunate way that he's started this race. He's actually going to have to tuck in behind King and Nowak. But Ott now up into fourth position. But
I've just gone back to have a look at Olette's. Whoa! If you go back and have a look at Olette's avoidance of that big one, he did. He just tapped one car on the infield doing about 20 k's an hour. He's seen it happening and did what you should do and just do whatever it takes to avoid it. He's hit the brakes. He's seen it happening and gone, yep, nah.
whoa.
What I want to do is get out of Dodge real fast. He's gone to the inside. He's had people passing him around the outside to then collect other people passing him around the outside,
Yeah.
cause their own accidents, and he's just avoided everything.
Yeah, he's going to bring it into the lane this time because he may have been thinking he might be able to come out in the lead. He'll come in and get a little bit of that damage repaired. No point fighting. Jason Martin also coming in this time. I think he was also looking at potentially seeing what else everybody was doing, but a lot of guys would have used their spare car in that accident. One guy that I am very, very sure would have used his spare car. No, actually may have already used it. Is Aaron Farmer. He's coming down the back straight. He looks to have a very, very sick and unhealthy Chevy SS right now.
If he's got a very sick chassis, or Chevy SS, do you reckon he would have taken it already?
I don't know. I have a feeling he may have had to with that second caution, but his car looks to be crabbing quite a bit as well. So hopefully he hasn't used it and will come in and use it this time because with
be interesting to
120 odd
see.
laps to go, he He's one of the guys that we thought were in contention for this race. Hopefully, we will see him be able to get back out there and up towards the pointy end of the field. But at the moment, not many cars that look 100% straight that we are sure have not used their quick repairs, but one that I am 99.99% sure is our race leader in Samuel Harris.
Well, what a better place to be if you haven't used the quick repair yet.
Yeah.
You got a clean car. You can take those little extra risks that everybody else just cannot afford to do. So if anyone's been a little bit silly, it's like, well, all right, off you go, buddy. You can, if you want to lead halfway through the race, go for it. Because it doesn't mean nothing to me. All I want to do is lead that last lap.
Well, it's the only one you need to lead to get the result, isn't it? If you lead the first 199 and don't end up winning the race, it doesn't matter because it is whoever is in the front when we reach that 500-mile mark that gets the chocolates and gets the win. So, see what we can do here.
I'm about to confirm. I'm going to say it 100% positively. Is that the right word? I might have said it wrong.
No, I think you said it right.
Jason. Nah, doesn't matter. Either way, Jason Martin has used his quick repair.
Yeah, he's back out there in his spare car and going again.
And his car is looking... Can I say shit on here?
No, shiny.
There.
We're not allowed to swear.
Ships. Battleships. He's looking battleship and shiny.
Yep, yeah, he'll be right now. Hopefully we won't see any more big wrecks like we just saw before. Farmer still going on with an absolutely destroyed Chevy SS. His car looks like absolute rubbish, unfortunately for him. So hopefully he does still have that spare car remaining and he can get into that later on in the race. But as it is right now, his car has crabs and has crabs bad. Oh, here we go. Restart number 6 for this race. The 7th time we'll see the green flag in the air. 6th restart of this race. And I think now that we've had that big one, that could be the point that we were thinking we'd seen before. That may be the point that we see the brain switch on, the understanding that we're not even halfway through this race. We'll see what happens as we get underway. And green flag flies. A little bit of a timid start though at the front. It looks like Harris may be going to let John King go through and he will push with King. A little bit of a surprising start there because neither of the guys at the front really took off at all, did they?
It was almost like, no, you go first. No, mate, come on. We've known each other a little while. You go first.
It was very, very timid.
Is this a gentleman's race or is this a race?
Yep. Have at it, boys. Go for it. Race hard, but race clean. That's what we want to see. And I'll tell you what.
Is it though?
Shout out to
We
Brent
want
Tucker.
big wrecks.
No, we don't. We want a bit of action to actually commentate on. We don't want 5 cars left with 100 to go. Shout out to Brent Tucker. Started in 35th position. He is now up 29 and into 6th position in this race. That is a phenomenal job.
I said it's not a bad effort. And goes to show, if you just keep your nose clean, you don't have to be the quickest to win this race. Because, like, let's be honest, you got to keep it flat out the whole time. Every now and then you got to lift off a little bit. It's not hard to be fast here. You need to be smart. Think about the race. Go, all right, we're currently on 85 of 200 laps. All we need to do is get to the end to be in a position where I've got a straight car. The car goes through the air a little bit quicker than all you bent up other people's. We can get there. We can do this.
Yeah, if you can
29 places.
Well, yeah, all you have to do is keep your car straight. If you can keep it straight, you're doing better than half of the field at the moment because half the field has got a bent up, broken car. If you might not have the best pace in regards to the absolute fastest guys out there, but if your car's straight, you're going to be going quicker than the other half of the field, aren't you?
Exactly right. And I'm looking at Riley Blythe. I'm pretty sure he's just used his quick repair too.
Yeah, he's got back out there.
I reckon he wouldn't have used it yet. So I thought,
Well,
oh, sorry. I thought he would have used it already. So
Yeah, no, he definitely stopped to get a bit of damage repaired and has used it. There, as we've got a caution, big spin in the background. Not quite sure who that was. I saw someone going sideways up against the fence there. Not quite sure who that was.
Dwayne Burns.
Dwayne Burns, is it? Yep, there we go. Finally picked up on my timing screen who it was. We'll get a CPR replay as to what happened, but I just saw in the background heap of smoke.
It's like it was chilling on the outside. Decided that the inside was the place to be. Turned down straight in front of Troy Maguire. Had no time to do anything about it. Broad Adam J. McLeod, who previously early on in the race gained more positions than anyone. His car is looking second hand, and he was in the middle of nowhere then.
Another replay here with Dwayne Burns, and it's a bit of a strange incident there, wasn't it? Like, I think Burns got a little bit frightened with Larnack up on the outside, who was evidently slower, and just come down and nowhere really to go. And
well, Dwayne was trying to go outside of MFR of Daniel Stevens, and just turned down a little bit too sharp. You know, these corners on the super speedways, they're not quite like what you do on the road courses where you can do the old over and under.
Yep.
You need to think about it, and you know, nice and smooth.
We're on board here with Troy Maguire, and you see just how quickly that change of line happened. And when you're coming down like that, you've got to actually make sure that there's room for you to get in there and not be overly slower in comparison to the other car, and that's all that happened there. Maguire did nothing wrong, and unfortunately Burns has brought that one on himself. He continuing on, but car looking very, very second hand right now. Front left of that Toyota Camry not looking overly healthy. Saying that just ahead of him, Brad Matheson, his car probably one of the worst looking ones out there. No front, no rear. One thing it won't have an issue with is overheating.
Well, unless it's got too much drag, in which case it might be working way too hard to be going.
Whoa! Oh! Scotty Griffiths just had a moment all on his own.
Well, that's one way to warm up your tyres.
That's different.
He's given up on life and he's quit out back to the pit. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wondering if he's actually had some sort of issue. Because that was a bit strange.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's...
Warming up your tyres in an oval race. Or any race under caution or no racing. It's an interesting theory, that one. We'll leave that one to be debated in the comments below. Is that what you normally say, Jay?
Yeah, leave us a comment. But we will get back underway with the green flag next time by. I'm predicting the lights are still on the pace car, so we've still got 2 to go. But if you do want to be a part of the Majors series, as we said, our next round is in 4 weeks' time for the Copper Classic. Looking forward to that one, which will be the Silver Crown at Phoenix. You can be a part of it. Head to pacificmajors.com and you can find out all the details you need to be a part of the awesome fun that is the Majors series, where we do all different sorts of things to really see who is the best all-round driver around the world.
Who's your pick on the best sim racer in this series, Jay?
In this
field?
Who
do you reckon? Yeah, in this field, who do you think is going to end up winning this series?
Ooh.
And do you think that they are the person that could be possibly the best person in this region?
Well, there's lots of drivers that you...
Is that too much questions?
Yeah, there's lots of people that in this series who could potentially win the series who are not opting to race in this race. So I think it's too early to call. But it has been quite competitive.
In saying that, why are they not here? Do you think that they are a little bit cautious and going, I'm not so good at this. Maybe I'll sit this one out.
There are a lot that would say I'm not very good at plate racing. I'm not wanting to risk my luck and see how I go in plate racing. I do also know that there are other drivers that have had other commitments that will be taking up a guest drive in one of the other regions for their Daytona 500s next weekend, which I hope to do next Monday Australian time. I hopefully will be a part of the Pacific region. Hopefully I can make top split. I probably won't, because you all know how terrible I am.
Well,
it means I have to actually do practice and plug my wheel in, and we know how often I do that. In saying that, I actually did 9 laps of practice for the Bathurst 12-hour last weekend. 9 laps is the most practice I've done in a long time.
Did you do any laps?
No, because the car was destroyed before I even got a chance to get in the car.
Well, it would have been fixed by the time you actually got on there, but you didn't get in
I didn't see there was any point. We were already
it.
140 laps down. There was no real point in plugging my wheel in then, was there?
Well, there was.
Who was the driver that put it in the fence, by the way?
Well, I was trying to make up time.
Why? Because you knew I was getting in the car, so you had to make it up then.
Nah, there was another driver on the team. I won't name names, Hayden Dobman, but his internet let us down, and I thought, well, I don't want to go a lap down, so I pushed hard, and I probably shouldn't have. I put it in the fence, Jay. I did it. I ruined our race.
I've just been reminded by our very, very good friend, Stephen Sandman Clark, that I am an ex-Daytona 500 champion. I've got one up on you. I don't believe you've ever won one.
Not a Daytona 500, but yeah, well done on winning a race.
I only win big races, Mitch.
I got second at Bathurst.
Yeah, all right. I'll give you that. That was actually quite an achievement. We get ready to go. That was actually one of the most awesome weekends of racing we've ever had. With John King, Sam Harris on the front row, we get ready to go. Green flag flies once again. Restart number 7. Let's get a long green flag run, boys. Let's get some green flag stops in the books. We start.
And what an awesome start!
Look at how messy this is.
They're already 3 wide already, and right in the middle of all this. I'd like to say to Sam, man, go away.
Martin's got himself in a bit of a messy pack here. He's got Anthony Green and Riley Blythe ahead and behind. On the outside, he's got Mark Dredge and also the 08 of Zach Fox. But at the front, Josh Nowak, Sam Harris, Christopher Norton, Matthew Raymond, and Corey out Grant Tucker. They're the ones that are trying to work and push along this front pack. The front 5 have broken away from the rest. Sandman's given me the thumbs up and you the middle finger.
I actually had something really smart to say. I'm still thinking of it.
Oh my. We look back from Corey Ott's slightly messy and mangled Toyota Camry. Now this is going to be tough because he will be a little bit slower, and you can see Martin already moving to the outside, as does Tucker. Oh, that's close. These two are now teammates as well. That wouldn't be too good for the teammate relationship. There was almost contact between Tucker and Ott. That was very, very close.
I wonder what Martin's thinking. Martin's thinking, all right, I'm going to go around the outside. One of these guys is going to come up and work with me. Meanwhile, all he sees in front of him is 2 guys trying to take each other out on the inside. He's thinking, oh, I've just got a quick repair. Do I really want to be out here?
Yeah, and you can see he's already sort of slowing back, almost lifting off the throttle a tiny little bit, dropping it back to 90% throttle to tuck in behind. He's quite happy to tuck back into the tail of this group and wait for a better moment. But at the front, John King has a big, big push from Sam Harris down the back straight. And for me, I think Nowak's the one that's in the best position here out of these 5 cars in that front pack. Just sitting there quite comfortable, quite happy and quite content. Not giving too much of a push on the front of Harris. He's happy to give a little bit of ground. And behind him, Norton and Raymond a little bit further back. So this is, for me, I think Nowak might be the one in the best situation right now. Looking quite good.
He's looking pretty comfortable and just doesn't... He's not getting too close and trying to cause any issues that don't need to be caused. He's just sitting there thinking, all right, these guys are pushing each other. They're working well together. I'm going to sit here and just, work along with Christopher Norton behind me. There's no need to push real hard right now. Not even half race distance yet.
There's actually no need to push at all right now. You just need to tuck in behind and get a portion of this race under the belt of the drivers. You just need to get past the 100 laps, past the 120, past the 150. When we get to 175, then we really start to work out where we want to be, what we want to do, and our strategy on how we're going to play the rest of this race.
Well, you think about how many cautions there have been. You think about how many drivers have been caught up in an incident of some sort in those cautions. You think about how many laps you got left. How many drivers have already used their quick repair because they absolutely needed to? We're not even half race yet. If half the field have already used their quick repairs, that's leaving you in a good position if you haven't used them yet.
Yep, you got the option there to use it if another big one happens, which the way that it's looking, you would almost put your money on happening. And with that damage leading that second train of cars, he is starting to lose that draft from the pack behind, and I would not be surprised if the rest of the crew behind start to work out and go around Ott and try and work their way back up to that front train, because the front pack, the front five, they're starting to check out and pull away from the rest of this group.
It'll be a wonder if anyone goes, all right, well, I've got Jason Martin behind me. I've got Riley Blythe behind me. I've got a couple of guys that know how to put... Oh!
There we go, Corey Ott.
What I was just saying, they weren't thinking that. They were thinking, let's cause a caution in front of them. Cause some more headaches.
This is a big one for Ott. And in a way, I'm not surprised that he has been involved in the caution, because while you're up there in that position with the damage, one, it frustrates the group behind you, and two, you're trying to push and do things a little bit harder than you would expect, and that's two teammates coming together. That will be discussed good and hard for quite a while. Welcome to All-Star Motorsports, Corey Ott, for your first drive at your new team.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting one, because to me, if you were in a new team with somebody and you had damage like that, you should have the damaged car behind the guy with a good car.
Yep.
And Brandon Tucker got on the wrong angle trying to help a teammate out, and it's ruined both of them.
Yep.
Although, well, not really.
Brandon's probably got out of that.
Brandon's still good.
But behind, I think it was Mark Dredge probably got a little bit of damage from that. A little bit of contact, and saying that Brant maybe got a little bit of rear damage from Anthony Green. We've got another look on board with Green. So he went to the outside because you could see those two checking up, and whoa, Green was pretty lucky there. Green could have got absolutely cleaned up. That would have been absolutely huge. Corey Ott brings it into the pits, and he will have a black flag to serve once we go green flag running again due to coming down into the pits. That was a big one.
Riley Blythe there, he did a very good job to see Corey coming down. Sorry, not Corey. Green coming down from the outside. Did a very good job of not making it any worse than it needed to be.
We're going to see a large portion of the field come in this time. No. We've seen Graham and Maroka stay out. Now, this is that same thing I was talking about before. I don't know what this actually achieves staying out at this point when you're 28 laps into a stint. It does not play smart strategy game for me. It doesn't really do anything positive for the race. It doesn't... It doesn't really do anything that you're going to achieve. I don't know what you can do and how it will actually help you in this race if you stay out.
Although he's up 34 spots, he is on 27 laps of his stint. he's had 3 pit stops compared to John King, who's in second. He's had 5, and everyone else behind him has had 5, down to 8th position. Robert Northway, he has had 13 pit stops. So there's some different strategies going on right here. And at the moment, I'm not sure what you get to a tank still, but 27 laps, that's a fairly long time.
Well, even with the cautions, it's probably still half a tank of fuel. So if we stay green, he's going to have to pit in, say, 15 laps, 18 laps. Going to do it all by himself because there's going to be not a single car on the lead lap other than Adam McLeod, who is just at the back. And I wouldn't be surprised if he actually comes in this time around because he's got a little bit of damage on the rear of his car. But there's no other cars out there that are going to be able to help him come into the pits and work together with. So it's a surprising play.
In saying that, though, everybody within at least the top 23, he's had the least pit stops out of everyone. He's had 3. The next closest is 4, and they're down in 16th, and that's Daniel Stevens of MFR.
Shocking. In saying that too, the one that has had the most pit stops, Robert Northway in the 55, his car looks clean once again. Remember the last round of pit stops, he come in 3 or 4 times. He's pitted 13 times in this race and still in 8th with a clean car. That's pretty impressive. It'd
be interesting to see if he's had his quick repair. Hopefully he hasn't, and just goes to show that you need to plan where you use these quick repairs. Just because you got it doesn't mean you can push the whole time. It means that if you get a little bit of damage here, a little bit of damage there, that's fine. You can lose a bit of ground. And the last 15 or even 50 laps, use it, be smart about it again, and you're going to be there at the end.
Yep. And I think one thing that is going to come out of this race too is quite a few drivers, they're going to go and race a few more oval races in preparation for this. A lot of drivers, as we've been saying throughout this race, have never raced a proper super speedway plate race. So they've never really raced in this sort of format of race before. They may have raced an oval race. They may have raced a race at Daytona, but they have never raced a 500 mile, a 200 lap, massive strain on your body, absolute sweat, perspiration, exhaustion race like this. This is an amazing race. It is a hectic race. It is a race of attrition. And
it's very, very difficult. Like, you're talking all things that real world stuff. Even in sim racing, there's things like, I finished my beer, I need to do a wee. How do you get through a race this long in a sim rig? It's very difficult stuff.
Yep, even the thing like with the spare car, the quick repair. When do you use it? When do you get your damage fixed? How long have I got before I need to get out on track while I get my damage fixed so that I can come back in and get a bit more repaired? Do I push it to the outside row? Is someone going to work with me that I don't know? How am I going to talk to the guy ahead of me? He speaks a different language. Is he going to be able to understand me? It's so many different things in sim to real life that a lot of people don't even understand and don't cater for as well. It's a very, very tough gig.
It really is. And it's not only that. It's if you do take a pit stop and you do decide, all right, I've got 1 lap to get my damage fixed, do you take a quick repair or don't you? You don't know how long your repairs are going to be, and by the time you stop and go, all right, I've got 10 minutes, well, it's too late by then to use your quick repair. Yep. So you've got to sort of anticipate, how much damage do I have? Is it worth losing maybe a lap and getting it fixed? It's not just as easy as, oh, I've got a little bit of damage, I'll use my quick repair now. You've got to think about it a little bit and be smart about it.
We get ready to go. Green flag. Once again, we are past the halfway point in this race. 99 laps of this Daytona 500 to go. Green flag flies. We are go. And it'll be interesting to see if this outside line works here. John King, Josh Nowak, teammates, they are going to work together and go around the outside. I reckon they're going to get this to work because Graham Imaroka, Got a terrible launch off the line. Wouldn't be surprised if he actually missed a gear. And up goes Samuel Harris as well. This outside line is now going to start to work. We're going to see some moves happen here.
Oh, for sure. It'll be interesting to see how long it keeps up, though. Like, those front two now, it looks like they're setting off. The other two, I think everyone's going to start to settle back down onto the inside. And I think Graham might have got away with it. Not too bad.
Yep, but as we've been saying, though, the issue he's going to have isn't now. It's going to come in 15 laps' time if we're still green. Because he's going to be under all sorts of pressure. What is he going to do? How is he going to make this stop? How is he going to get himself back into contention? Because he's going to be all by himself. When you're all by yourself, because we've got 3 wide just behind. Fox, Maguire, and Mike Olet as well. Olet drops back in behind Troy Maguire. Maguire's had a very, very unlucky race as well. As we're going 3 wide just ahead of that as well. Between Blythe, Norton and Amaroka. Norton stuck on the outside, is going to tuck back in behind, and Amaroka now will tuck into 6th position. Robert Northway, one of the drivers that is in a pretty good situation right now. He has not used his spare car, still has that option available to him later on in the race. Might see him starting to make a move as well.
Tell you what, the front 3 have absolutely checked out, though. It'll be interesting to see if Riley Blythe and Christopher Norton can try and work together and catch that lead group again, but with Graham the only one in between them and the rest of the pack, it looks like these front 3 have just absolutely checked out on this restart.
Yep, they've worked out how to get through. They've done a very, very good job. King, Nowak, Harris now pulling away, saying that Blythe is starting to close that gap a little bit. That next pack need to be careful, and we can start to see a bit of shuffling happen because Amaroka probably not up to pace of the rest of this pack. Northway, Fox and Martin have all gone to the outside to try and get around, but not going to be as easy as just going to the outside to get around. They've got to work hard and get this done.
And at the moment, watching those 3 trying to go around the outside of that one, it's not really working that easy. So it's going to be a very big struggle for the outside line to work at all. Unless the track changes a fair bit in the next, 95 laps, it's going to be whoever's in the lead on the last lap, I think, is going to be the one that's going to win it. But in saying that, you've got to get there first.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to
And
see how the track evolves as well.
No, getting there first is going to be the interesting thing. It's not like, oh, well, whoever's winning the last half race is going to win it. You've got to get there first, and there's going to be a fair bit of fighting to get there.
Yep, and now's the point where guys are starting to feel their feet and work out who's the one to work with, who's the driver they don't want to work with, which line they want to run, whether they're comfortable being in the front, whether they want to be able to push. But the guys that have worked it out for sure, these front 5 cars, because Blythe and Norton are starting to close in, these front 5 have broken a fairly big gap. It's 2 seconds separating 5th and 6th. And Amaroka is really starting to check up this field now. Have a look at how messy this pack is getting.
Oh, and Jason Martin is sitting in the middle of this pack thinking, I've got a brand new car, I've got no more quick repairs. I do not want to be sitting on the outside of all of this. I want to get through this as soon as possible. If I was him, I'd nearly back out of this and sit back a little bit where you've got a bit of time to avoid it all, because it is getting messy.
Yep, it is for sure. There go our lead pack. And you can see, who's that below the yellow line? That's Amaroka. Had to go below the yellow line because of the little bit of a bump that happened.
I think Michael Lett, he might have sent in the series admin.
Yeah, probably a little bit of frustration starting to set in this pack here, and it's very, very evident and very, very obvious. And Amaroka, obviously, almost contact between Amaroka and Northway coming through the tri-oval. You do not want to get contact through the tri-oval because it is the end of the race pretty much for you and everyone around you, as we've already seen in this race.
1:30 a.m. last night, I decided that doing a truck race around here was a great idea after a few beers. My race ended by a tiny little touch through the tri-oval. I just clipped the cone going on the exit of pit entry. Oh, pit exit. Exit of pit. Yeah. I got a black flag. My race was wrong. It's moral of the story. It does not take much. That's what I'm
No.
trying to get at.
No, and these guys are going to play a little bit smart here and try and work out who is the one to lead this pack. They've got two cars that probably look a little bit damaged at the front of this pack. That is not going to get them to the front. You've got massive damage to Maguire's car, and you've got Emaroka, who does not look overly comfortable being the lead car in this pack. Those two guys really need to shuffle back in the field, back in this pack, and the likes of Fox, Tucker, Alette, Northway, Martin, need these guys to come up to the front. As I've seen, Jake Fox has now decided to go to the outside, see if he can get it to work, as Tucker also thinks about going around the outside. This is not where a lot of these guys want to be. They're stuck in this really, really nasty pack. And
But how many laps until Graham Emaroka needs to come into the pits?
yeah, well,
How awkward is that going? And they're three wide.
Three wide through the
Brad
triangle.
Tucker.
This is
up
not
the
going to
inside.
work. Oh, this is going to get messy. Hold the inside. Hold your lines, boy. And we got through. And Tucker has got to the front. Now, this is going to help this pack out. This will help because you've got a car that is undamaged at the front of this pack. Will Tucker be able to get through? He's got 2 lap cars ahead that he's going to have to get past as well. We've gone to the outside. That's Aaron Farmer up against the outside wall. Unfortunate for Farmer to see him have so many troubles. But just behind, they're going to go 3 wide again. Working past Farmer. This is always heart in your mouth stuff. And I'll tell you what, Jason Martin is probably the one. Jason Martin, Matthew Raymond. Those guys are the ones that are the most nervous right now because they have everything to lose being in this situation right now.
But have you noticed how Jason has drifted back towards the back end of this pack?
Contact between Dean Mole and Michael Lett. Tiny little bit of contact. Mole had to get out of the throttle. It looks like coming up through as well, Aaron Farmer and Scott Larnack at the front of the field, the front 5. They've now checked out a 7-second lead. Tucker now leads this secondary train. We'll see if they can start to close up. But they are not matching the pace of our lead cars.
But from what I can tell from Martin, he's thinking, all right, the best place to be, if I can't get to the front of this, is to be at the back.
Yep.
Not in the middle of it. I'm going to be at the back where I can see what everyone's doing, make my own judgments of what's going to happen, make my own fate a little bit. He's not just going to sit in the middle of this pack and go, all right, let's just see what happens. Nah, that's not how you win these races. You need to make your own fate. You've got to put yourself in a position where you're going to be in a position to win. And facing at right angles to the fence, battling for 13th position is not where you want to be.
Graham Emaroka's decided he doesn't want to play too much of a part of this battle pack anymore. He's dropped to the tail. Actually, he's just clipped the wall on the outside, probably trying to get his heart back into his chest, because that can be pretty nerve-wracking when you're seeing 10 cars all wanting to pass you within a blink of an eye. So, a bit of a nerve-wracking situation. He's gone from 1st to 15th and still has to make this next pit stop. So as we said, very, very surprising play, and don't really know what it was going to achieve. And now this is the point of the race where he is really going to suffer. He will go a lap down and will struggle to get that back.
I'm still surprised that Martin is trying to push on the outside still. Like, I don't really know what he's going to get out of that. Is he sitting up there for better viewing purposes of what everyone else is doing, or is he actually trying to make them everyone on the outside?
Yeah, it's strange. Raymond and Martin, probably 2 guys that I reckon will start to work together, because they both seem to have similar pace. They both seem to have similar abilities. So wouldn't be surprised if they start to work together and work their way forward as we start to see a bit more shuffling. I think Michael may have been told by someone, maybe even listening into us, that Jason Martin, the car behind, he's the one that he really should be trying to work with. He's the one that is going to be able to work their way up to the front of the field. If anyone in this pack can do it, it will be Jason. And have a look straight away, bump drafting, a little bit of a push, a little bit of a shove, trying to help along this outside row and get it moving along.
But as long as Martin knows who's bump drafting him, who he's bump drafting, and they are competent in what he's trying to do. Because he might be the best guy to be around when you're trying to bump draft someone, but unless they know what they're doing, they can turn pear-shaped real quick. So he still needs to be a little bit careful on who he works with, and he's got to understand what they are capable of.
A bit of a public service announcement for everybody who was watching our coverage of the Oceanic Endurance Championship. We've had a large issue where our broadcast PC has crashed and will not restart. So unfortunately our coverage of the OEC finale has ended, but we will try and get some updates of the finale of that race as the prototype championship comes down to the wire. As we come back and talk back about this race, I think this is our longest green flag run. We're now 16 laps into this run. I think this... Oh, Martin! Massive, massive moment for Jason Martin. Will he be able to hold it? Oh, a little bit of contact. Oh, no. Caution's out. Just saw Martin have a massive, massive moment coming into turn one. The car was all sorts of crossed up and sideways. And that was huge.
And do you know what? He did that all by himself.
Yeah, I'm surprised. A little bit of side draft possibly unsettled the car a little bit between he and Jake Fox, but I can't see there being any netcode contact that's caused that. It just looks like that was all Martin, all on his lonesome. That was strange and very uncharacteristic.
That, to me, looks like a Hayden Dobman mistake. Flat out, middle of the race, going, oh, somebody Snapchatted me. I'll look at Snapchat. Oh, corner.
Yep. That was a really bizarre one. And as we were saying, very, very uncharacteristic from Jason. We have been talking him up a lot in this race, and there is a reason for it. He would be one of, if not the best oval racers in Australia and New Zealand. So,
well, I
very
thought it was always
uncharacteristic.
a myth, but I must be an actual commentator now because I've been putting money on him all night. I guess it doesn't take that many credentials to be a commentator. What, no bites there, Jay? Or?
No, I'm staying out of it.
I was trying.
Well,
Wow.
changes everything in this race. We will see pretty much the entire field into the pits this time. I don't know if anyone will stay out other than the guys that are lapped down to try and get laps back. Martin and also Dean Mole, who is on the unfortunate end of a little bit of contact between he and Martin. Both come in. Actually looks like everyone at the front of the field has come in. So
We've got Houston, Larnach, Matheson, and Dwayne Burns. They're all the guys that have stayed out. But
Yep.
they
Dane
are
Burns
all guys
actually has
up
just
down.
got the lucky dog, so he'll come around the pace car, tuck him behind, and then come into the pits. So he is now only one lap down after we saw incident between he and also Troy Maguire. But yeah, Larnack and also Houston. Now, the next cars to potentially get a lap back. Aaron Farmer is running at the back of the field quite slow. Now, what's happened with Farmer? I was just letting a car by. I think Farmer may
Sorry,
have
I've been
pitted.
doing some ploughing.
Yeah, I actually think Farmer might have come in under a closed pit and now has had to let everyone by. So, back under caution for what I think is the 8th time in this race. And we've still got 2 to go until we are back under green. As we've been saying, we've got heaps of cool events coming up here on V8's Line. Monday night V8 Supercar official series championship in that one is coming down to the wire with 3 rounds to go. First and second place are tied on points. So that is going to be really interesting to see how that unfolds for the next couple of Monday nights. Tuesday nights, we've got the Down Under Graphics Sprint Car Summer Series. Thursday night, Rallycross action thanks to CPR. And Sunday, 25th of February, this time next week, it will be round 1 of the Virtual Racing School V8 Supercar Online Premier Series. We will be bringing action from round 1 at Road Atlanta, the Cut Price Racing CPR. Georgia 250, make sure you join us for that next weekend. So we are under caution once again. As Mitch stuck out for just a moment, he doesn't usually commentate too much. So while he's out of the booth, I can say things about him. But Mitch is a pretty accomplished sim racer back in the day. He hasn't done much for a little while because he doesn't take things too serious anymore, which is always a good thing. But of course, won iRacing Official V8 Supercar Series and also made the finals of the World... can't even remember what they're called. They're the World... Intel World Championships, I think they were called, back in 2011, and went over to Germany to race the finals at Sim Expo over there. So Mitch doesn't like to talk himself up too much, but he is quite an accomplished sim racer. So doesn't mean I'm not going to give it to him as we come up to get green flag, 80 to go. This is now where the race starts to get interesting. This is where you start to think about your strategy. This is where you start to think about what you are going to do from now to the end. See who's the one that wants to try and make a move. Martin looks like he's got most of his car repaired, which is a positive for him. Graham Maroka's finally got that pit stop done. He's back out there. Looks like his car is fairly clean and straight. Dean Mole also looks like his car is fairly well repaired after that incident as well, as we get ready to get the green flag once more. So here we go, restart number 9. Or is it number 10? I've lost count. But we are go. Harris away, Norton away, King away, Nowak away. Good jump from Josh Nowak. He's already clear of Riley Blythe, and Riley will probably try and tuck down to the inside line. Christopher Norton is stuck on that outside row all by himself, just behind Robert Northway and Daniel Stevens side by side, and Troy Maguire stuck on the outside row as well. Brant Tucker in 10th position, doing a very, very good job keeping it out of trouble. I'm very, very impressed with his drive so far. Matthew Raymond, another one that we need to watch and see what he can do coming up through the field. As they come on by Daniel Stevens and Troy Maguire, who are stuck on that outside line, which is not working too well yet in this race. Big disappointment for Harris, King, Nowak, Blythe and Norton was the last stint. They had broken out such a good gap. They've got to do it all again, but this time Jake Fox is sticking with them. They haven't got that slower car that is breaking the gaps up. So they're going to have to work a little bit harder to break away. And I don't think they're going to be able to do it quite as easy. Northway now is leading the second train, but there's not a huge gap separating the first and second trains of cars. looks like we are getting two distinct packs. The top 12 are broken away. Secondary pack led by TJ Brown and Anthony Green with Dean Mole, Adam McLeod, Graham Amaroka, Jason Martin. This is a 6-car train, a 6-car pack that they'll want to try and work their way forward. We've got Scott Larnack in there too, who's trying to get his laps back and potentially get himself back into this race. As, Samuel Harris actually goes wide and he's going to let John King through. Surprising to see this happen at this stage of the race. But King drops back in to the lead. Harris slots back into second position. We've got the front 8 cars all together. Nose to tail. King, Harris, Nowak, Blythe, Norton, Raymond, Fox and Tucker. Back into that first pack now starting to spread a little bit too. Get a little bit disorganised. The second pack that's trying to catch up with Maguire, Northway, Stevens and Alette. They are starting to work together a little bit better now. I'll see if they can close up. But now 75 and a half laps to go. Almost 76 laps to go. John King leading the way. Harris and Nowak in behind. Of course, we're seeing Nowak, same livery as John King, but doing a good job working together. But it's going to be corrected here. They not teammates as we've got a caution out. Dean Mole is the one who is looking a little bit bent and broken. He was in that third pack of cars. CPR replay up on screen right now. I'm going to guess that's happened into turn 1. Oh, big hit from I think Mark Dredge. They're the 782 car. Guys just need to play it a little bit smarter and give a little bit more racing room. Don't be scared to give a bit of room. Just because we are at Daytona doesn't mean you have to push someone and bump someone the whole way around the track. You guys need to start playing this game a little bit smarter. That was a really unnecessary caution and unnecessary contact there between those two cars. And Dean Mole will no doubt be disappointed by that, because that was a very unnecessary accident. Need to give each other a little bit more respect, a little bit more room in this race. We are going to get to the end with any cars still running as it stands right now. We don't have many cars that are not completely busted and broken. Even our lead car, John King, a little bit of damage to his car, but it looks pretty clean, as with Samuel Harris and Josh Nowak. Riley Blythe with the quick repair, he's back out and going once again, sorry, with the repaired car, or the spare car. Just an update about our broadcast of the Oceanic Endurance Championship. Unfortunately, we will not be able to broadcast the remainder of the race. What we will be doing, though, we are recording the broadcast and we'll get it uploaded to YouTube as fast as we can, so you can watch the remainder of the race. We can't seem to get the broadcast PC working for some reason. We're not sure as to why it was happening or what has caused the issue, but yeah, we apologise for that and done everything we can to try and get back up on the air, but unfortunately something weird has gone on and we are at a standstill for our OEC broadcast. But we are recording and we'll have the coverage of that up as soon as we can on YouTube later on. A 70 to go. This is where the race now starts to matter. We need to get as long as we can in this stint. If we get green flag stops, that is going to make this race really interesting, because we're going to be pretty much line ball for fuel with one stop to the end if we stay green the whole way through. So this is going to get quite tight, quite interesting. Really looking forward to seeing how this all plays out. So we've seen a few cars jump into the pits, and Martin, Green, Northway, Burns, Mole still in the pits getting his damage repair, unfortunately, from that. Scott Larnack is now in the lucky dog position. He's 2 laps down. A little bit of damage to the front of the car from some incident as well. But we'll see him get the lucky dog potentially next time around. Aaron Farmer, the next car back. Still got 20 cars on the lead lap. Dean Mole comes out just ahead of the pack. Still got 2 laps to green, so we will have 70 to go in this race when we come around to get the green flag. 130 run and done. 70 laps to go. Dean Mole back in to get a little bit more damage repaired. No surprise that he's jumped in the pits to get a little bit more done. They've got a fair bit of time up his sleeve before the lead pack comes around. So he'll probably get himself another 30 odd seconds of damage repaired. And this is what Mitch and I were talking about before, that you really need to play it smart. Save that option of a spare car, and you can work your way back through. You don't necessarily have to use that that repair straight away. We've seen a few drivers do it, probably unnecessarily, using that spare car unnecessarily, but we come to get the 1 to go signal from the iRacing Ford Mustang pace car. We'll have 70 to go when we go green. Fingers crossed we can see at least 1 green flag pit stop in this race. It would be a very, very good thing to happen, but the way it's gone so far, we may not see that. It's been a very, very interesting race. Not how I had expected this one to go. I expected the cautions at the start, but I sort of expected a bigger middle run of green flag running. Here we go. Drivers getting ready to get back underway. 6 and the 88 leading this pack. King from Harris, Nowak, Blythe, the second row of cars. Then we've got Norton and Fox, Raymond Tucker, Stevens, Maguire, the top 10. The pace car gets ready to pull back into the pits, and we get underway once again here in the major series. International region, Daytona 500. Away goes King. Good jump. Nowak's also gone with him. The outside row definitely have checked up a little though. And Samuel Harris tucks back into the inside. Riley Blythe stuck out there by himself at the moment. He'll probably try and tuck in behind Josh Nowak as soon as he can. The field's starting to shuffle their way around. And it looks fairly clean throughout this field as we've got 19, so 20 cars still on the lead lap in this race. So 26 runners left in this one. At the front of the field, the front four definitely got a little bit of a margin of a Norton and Raymond. Brant Tucker looking to get a move done here on Maguire. Maguire's car looks like it's got a little bit more damage fixed. Actually, no, it doesn't now. Looking back at this other angle, that still looks as mangled as it did before. So, Maguire doing a very, very good job. Still in 8th position. With the damage that he has got, fingers crossed for him, he can get himself up and forward a tiny little bit more and potentially get a little bit more damage repaired as well. Great to see him still pushing on, still going. The front of the field, King, Harris, Nowak, Blythe, Norton. Front 5 broken away. Raymond trying to stick with them. Doesn't look like he's able to at the moment with the pace he's got. Then Fox, Maguire and Tucker. The next 3 cars. Top 9 to Tucker. 10th is Olet, Mark Dredge. Next, and have a look at this messy pack then. You got McLeod, Stevens, Amaroka, Brown, Northway, Martin, Green, Burns and Mole in there as well. You've got Larnett, you've got Farmer as well. So a few guys trying to work their way forward, trying to get themselves back onto the lead lap. You've got other guys that are well and truly shuffled out of position with damage. This is going to get heated and interesting. But King, Harris, Nowak, Blythe, Norton, the top 5 really are starting to check out as Raymond's now been checked up by that secondary pack. Oh, and almost contact between Tucker and Maguire as Maguire got shuffled high. Tuck's back in the line. Luckily no damage, but that was very, very close. Almost contact between Maguire and Tucker. See if these 4 cars can catch that lead group. Whether Fox and Raymond can work together here and close up that gap. Get Tucker, Maguire and themselves up to the leader. Northway shuffled to the outside line, and with Jason Martin there, we've been talking about him a lot, tucked in behind Daniel Stevens and also Adam McLeod. McLeod hasn't had the best of races as well, but Martin looking to try and make some moves and try and get up to the front. King, Harris, Nowak, Blythe, Norton. These guys have worked it out now. They're starting to get into a groove, into a rhythm, sticking together. No pushing, no bumping. Just hard pushing, close, tight racing. Great to watch, great to see. They've settled themselves out. Looks like the whole pack now is starting to get themselves into a bit more of a rhythm. Saying that, this third pack of cars still looking a little bit more messy than we would like to see, because a little bit of 2x2 action and some cars looking quite damaged as well. That outside line is not working at all here at the moment. Stevens on board at the moment as they've got Robert Northway to the outside, McLeod ahead and Martin behind, stuck right in the middle of 3 drivers. It looks like he might have a little bit more pace as well as the pack ahead starting to come back. That's Troy Maguire, Michaelette also. They've dropped back to this pack. and Maguire, Mark Dredge as well. They're going to go 3 wide here. This is not going to work, boys. Settle yourselves into line. Whoa! Oh, that drops to the apron. Almost. Almost. Northway trying to get a bit of side draft happening, but not quite able to get it moving and happening at the moment. You get a feeling that something's going to happen in this pack right now, whether we see a secondary pack break away, a secondary pack drop behind, or a caution coming from this battle group, because it is not looking overly nice, not looking overly friendly right now. See if these guys can sort themselves out a bit. Still a long, long way to go in this race. 62 laps left to go. These guys are all on fairly long stints for fuel as well. Of course, we've had 2 cautions since they last pitted as well, though. But a few laps green flag running, probably halfway through a fuel tank. We'll see if they can stay green. Some of these cars will have to pit earlier than others. There's been 10 laps now green, or thereabouts. As Northway finally gets to tuck back into line. We go back to single file. The pack at the front, the top 5 now out to its 2-second lead over Matthew Raymond, Jake Fox and Brant Tucker. They've broken away from that pack that we were watching with Mark Dredge, Michael Lett and Troy Maguire. They've been gobbled up by that next pack. But this pack here is 9th back to 19th with a couple of lap cars in the middle of it as well. And these guys really need to sort themselves out and get themselves into a bit more of a clean battle, because this is going to get very, very intense. Front 5 definitely settled into a rhythm and settled into the groove right now. They're happy staying where they are. The next 3 of Raymond, Fox and Tucker, they also have settled themselves in. But this next pack, these guys are not anywhere near the pace of the front guys that we would expect. And these guys are really starting to drop behind. On board with Mark Dredge, you can see the start of the train behind, but there is a massive train of cars behind Dredge. Doesn't look like he has the pace to be able to move up, and shuffling to the outside is Amaroka. Seen him get shuffled up and down the field throughout this race the whole way through. Best position car for out of this pack for fuel is Robert Northway and also Dane Burns. They're both on the same strategy in regards to fuel. They are pitted at the last caution 14 laps ago. Everyone else around about 24, 25 laps ago. So 10 extra laps, most of them under green. So Amaroka shuffled on the outside line. He's going to go all the way back down the field. He's going to drop back in behind Stevens. And Martin's also dropped to the back of this pack as well. Trying to work out how he can get himself forward and how he can get himself back up to that lead pack of 5. As they come past the very, very sick looking car of Bradley Matheson, who is currently 24th. He's 2.5 laps behind the next car for position. But a phenomenal pace that these front guys are going at the moment. Just over 200 miles an hour, 236 k's per hour coming into turn 3. A little bit of a push from Harris. Gap now of 5.5 seconds between Norton in 5th and Matthew Raymond in 6th position. So these front 5 definitely have worked hard to get away from the rest of the field. And as it is right now, these front 5 are well and truly in a good position to get a good result. Raymond, Fox, Tucker, the next pack. And then you've got Dredge about 7.5 seconds behind. They're almost breaking into 2 separate packs with Dredge-led Northway and Maguire, the first of these packs. And then the next pack of McLeod, Brown, Burns, Green, Martin, Amaroka, also Farmer and Larnack in there too. Sorry, Larnack. Farmer's actually dropped from Larnack. .55.5 laps to go. This front pack now starting to look like they may be able to drop Christopher Norton here. Norton not quite able to stick on the rear of Riley Blythe. So they come up to lap yet another car. That looks like it is Aaron Farmer. About to go another lap down. He's massively down on pace right now. Unfortunate to see Farmer so hampered because he, along with Jason Martin, were 2 of our favourites in this race, 2 of our potential to take this win. But Daytona doesn't care how quick or how skilled you are. It will bite and chew you up and spit you out regardless. We've got a bit of a breakaway happening between Dredgelet and Maguire. Northway not able to match them for pace, and McLeod holding up that next pack that has Brown, Burns, Green, Stevens and Jason Martin. But we're seeing Aaron Farmer into the pit, so it looks like his day unfortunately is done. So got a fair bit of damage to his car as well. So Aaron Farmer, disappointing day for him. He's back out running once again. Farmer sits himself now in 23rd position. He's dropped behind Martin Houston. The first runners to actually do a green flag stop in this race, as we are 30 laps into this stint for our lead runners. Come on by Farmer, who's just come out of the pits. Pack with McLeod, Brown, Burns, Green, Stevens and Martin really starting to drop behind the pack ahead of Dredgelet, Maguire and Northway. Will we be able to see these guys close back up? Come up now to start lap number 149 of this 200 lap race. We've done nearly 600 kilometres of racing. We are coming up to the final 200 kilometres. The final 125 miles of this Daytona 500. And we're starting to see some of the best battling and the cleanest racing we've seen all race. And I've just put the curse on, no doubt. So hopefully we will stay green. And I haven't absolutely ruined it. Secondary pack not doing too bad in regards to pace. They're around about 1 or 2 kilometres an hour, about a mile per hour slower than the lead pack. So they would have to be pretty happy with that pace that they have got. They are dropping around about 6 to 7 tenths of a second a lap, which isn't too bad. They're sitting in an okay spot right now, especially if something happens in that main group. they will see themselves in a pretty good situation. Seeing Michael Lett and Troy Maguire working together. They've gone around the outside, not Northway as well. Oh, almost contact between Dredge and Lett. Going to go side by side into the tri-oval. 50 to go, 3/4 of the race down. This is where it really starts to count. This is where Daytona will bite. This is where Daytona will hurt if you do treat it badly. Olet now stuck on the outside, all on his lonesome. Can confirm we will see at least one more stop, potentially two, depending on how it all goes from here. Lead is pitted, 34 laps to go. So still not too long until we will see all of our lead cars into the pits. As I said before, the best placed car in regards to pit strategy is Robert Northway, pitted 23 laps ago. He, as well as Dane Burns, pitted 22 laps ago. Those two cars in the best situation in regards to fuel numbers right now. They have a totally alternate strategy to everyone else, and they are looking like they may be able to do something special, depending on how this race falls. Guys at the front will be starting to calculate the numbers from now. Will they be able to do it with one more stop? Will they have to make two? Will they have to save fuel to try and get an extra lap? If anyone has to save fuel, John M. King, he's going to be the one in trouble, because he has led this pack since we went green. Samuel Harris second, Josh Nowak in third, Riley Blythe fourth, Christopher Norton in fifth. Then we go back to now 12 seconds back. Raymond, Fox and Tucker, 7.5 seconds behind those guys is our third pack of Dredge, Northway, Maguire and Olet. And then only 1.5 seconds further back, we have Burns now leading that train with Green, McLeod, Brown, Stevens, Martin. Amaroka's dropped from that pack a long way back, and now he's out all on his lonesome, unfortunately. But if we stay green all the way to the end of this race, it's just seeing a car off the track. I think that was James Kingland. See if we can get a replay and see if we can pick up what's happened with him. Not sure who that was off the circuit. Alright, won't be able to get a replay of who that was off the circuit, but we are now not far away from big window opening for these guys, and they are yet to make a green flag stop in this race. So sure, some guys will practice it, and other guys will have no idea how to get their car into the lane. Some guys will have absolutely no idea on where to brake, where to stop, try and pull it up. No idea how to avoid other cars coming in the lane at all. And we'll have other guys as well that will try and stay out and do things on their own. That is not the smart move. You need to get in the pits with someone else. So what will we see King, Harris, Nowak, Blythe, Norton do? Who will be the first to jump? Will they jump together? Will they be forced to jump alone? It's going to get very, very interesting in the next little while. On board with Christopher Norton. We get ready to see these guys head into the pits in the next few laps. We stay green. Fingers crossed we do. Because if we do, it's going to be a really, really interesting battle to the end as well. See who can stretch out that fuel at the end of this race. We've got two cars ahead, lap cars, side by side of this pack. That is the 31 of Dean Mole and also Brad Matheson in the number 370. started to see a fair bit of shuffling happening in that 4th pack back. Burns, Green, Brown, McLeod, Stevens and Martin. Martin now on the outside of this 8-car battle pack. Trying to get some moves happening. Larnack also in this pack. Oh, as I see McLeod very, very slow. What happened with McLeod there? That was strange. Get a CPR replay and try and work out what happened with Adam McLeod. Oh, actually side-to-side contact there with the MFR car, and lucky McLeod able to hold on there. But going again, but he's now dropped from that pack, and that will hurt a lot. He's going to struggle to come on through and get himself back up towards the front. Mitch McLeod has ducked out, and Cameron Dance has ducked into the booth. Cam, welcome along.
Yeah, cheers. It's good to be back in the booth after just previously being in the booth not too long ago doing OEC. Unfortunately, Fonty's PC had a bit of a moment, and fortunately the broadcaster stopped, so I thought I'd jump in here and actually do a bit of commentating on an oval race for once.
Yeah, it's actually been pretty exciting. We're about to come up to, I know you've been watching because you've been in the YouTube chat, and coming up to a pretty intense part of the race, and the way it's looking at the moment, we might get home, if it stays green, with a green flag stop, and then whoever's the best on fuel conservation from there. Yeah,
it's been a fairly good race so far. I know there's been a number of cautions, unfortunately, but it's been pretty good so far, and it's looking like it's going to be a very, very good finish to the race at this rate that we're going. So if we don't get a caution, as you see a couple of cars dive in. Oh, and someone getting massively sideways there.
Riley Blythe, massive lockup. He was struggling to pull it up, and then all of a sudden realised he was going too slow, almost got run over by Harris, but they've all pulled up at the exact right moment. Will we see the secondary pack come in as well? But here we go. This is our first green flag stop for the entire race. Who will get the run out of the lane? King, you would expect...
Blythe actually got his pit box wrong. He's actually missed an end to reverse.
Oh, no. That's going to hurt. He might get shuffled back into that next group. Also seeing in the lane in the background, Fox, Dredge, Maguire. Now, Brant Tucker and Matthew Raymond have stayed out on the circuit. But coming out first, it looks like it will be Northway. He's got the jump over Nowak. Sorry, Burns. No, who have I got here? Where are we up to? I've lost track of where we're up to. Nowak and Norton, sorry. Norton was the car that got the big jump with the pits, and not surprising considering he was the car that was at the back of that pack and able to save a bit of fuel. So no surprise that he has come out first in this train of cars. But Riley Blythe has been the biggest loser out of the first round of pit stops because he has dropped a lot of ground to those guys. He may get shuffled into the next pack as we see Raymond and Tucker in. Northway will stay out, but he's got to be careful. Although he is by himself, he will need to be careful that he doesn't get gobbled up by the pack. Although he does have the strategy where he can stay out longer, as we see Martin, another driver on the same strategy as Northway. Martin has come in with that other group. Northway needs to be careful not to be out there by himself for too long.
Yeah, you don't really want to be out there on your own for too long, as you do end up losing a bit more time than you would if you're in a pack. So he's got to start really thinking about whether he pits on this lap or possibly even the next.
Norton under pressure from Nowak. They're going to go side by side down the back straight. Oh, this race has just gone from very, very mild to absolutely intense hot pressure. This is getting pretty spicy. And have a look at this. Here comes John King. He's going to take the lead in this pack. Where he was before, he's got back into the lead once again. Effective race lead. And he is going to try and push it all the way home. But these guys have to do 40 laps on a tank of fuel. That is going to be really, really tough for them.
Yeah, well, I could not see them doing 40 laps green to from straight out of the box to the line. So this is going to turn into a game of cat and mouse and who wants to lead and who doesn't want to lead, because if you don't save enough fuel, you're going to be in big trouble come those last few laps.
Brant Tucker's come out of the pits above the driver that he was competing with in his pack, being Matthew Raymond. He's been a pretty big winner out of this. Jason Martin has come out ahead of Daniel Stevens, TJ Brown, Michael Lett. So no surprise that Martin is moving his way forward, but he's dropped off behind Jake Fox, Troy Maguire, and Troy Fox, Jake Fox, Troy Maguire, and also the car of Dane Burns, who is just ahead there as well. So Anthony Green as well. So Jake Fox is drafting with 2 cars yet to pit, so Fox is going to be in a little bit of trouble here when the 2 cars ahead of him come into the lane in the next couple of laps.
Yeah, well, and it's going to end up in clean air there.
Oh, welcome back, Mitch.
Well, thank you. I was saying I've been replaced already.
Well, I thought you were gone. We thought that you might have had a fall with over a couple of beer cans and were gone, but...
I've built my sim rig up for practicality. I've got places to store empty beer cans, so I was getting pizza.
You've just missed green flag pit stops, and now the race is really, really interesting how it's composed. Because if we stay green the whole way to the end, I cannot see how these guys can make it home without coming in for a splash of fuel.
Are we talking from, say, John King backwards by the look of it?
Yes.
Because the top 3, they've done 38, 37 laps.
Yeah, those guys, Northway, Burns and Green, yet to come in and make their next pit stop, which could possibly be the final pit stop for those guys in this race. But yeah, from King back, that pack of 4 cars, because Blythe has well and truly dropped from them.
Well, how's Northway? He's done 15 pit stops, pretty much more than anyone I can see in the field.
And I believe he's still got a spare car.
Wow. Yep, he's done more pit stops. The only other person to have done more is James Kingsland, and he's out of the race.
When will we see those front 3 cars into the pits? Anthony Green's still going on. He's just finished 40 laps, of course. That was under a little bit of green flag running. Know that these packs get really, really spicy, and as soon as the numbers of laps go from multiple figures down to single digits, that is when we start to see some real fighting and real argy-bargy going on in these lead packs.
Well, I was thinking that Robert Northway was part of the same group, but he's well off in front.
Yeah, he had to pit though, and he's out there by himself. Well, he's actually picked up a pack of cars with Brant Tucker and Matthew Raymond, Troy Maguire. So Northway, I don't know where he's going to come out from the race lead when he comes out of the pits.
But he is going to have to sort something out where he comes out with the pack.
Yep.
The other group, they're in the pack by themselves. So, well, now that I think about it, there's only 2 of them that need to pit, and they're about the same lap. The guy leading's got a lap up his sleeve, so Anthony Green's going to have to pit and hope to God that Dwayne Burns comes with him.
Yep. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they've already been messaging each other and trying to work out how they can work this pit stop. But King, Nowak, Harris, these 3 guys at the front of this train look like they've got it all worked out. Christopher Norton, some phases looks like he's struggling to keep up, and other phases looks like he's okay, but interesting to see if Norton can stick with. Northway, Burns, Green lead the race for now, but that will change in the next little bit, because these guys in this front pack, they are lapping the fastest cars on track by a mile.
It's a little bit sad to see that the Robert Northway and the group that he's in has just overtaken Aaron Farmer, who was one of the more experienced drivers that we thought was going to be in for this running of this win here.
Just seeing what I thought may have brought out a caution. Mark Dredge, as he's come into the pits, it's, on the outside, actually, Riley Blythe and Mark Dredge made massive contact, and then Dredge into the safer barrier at pit entry. I'm surprised that hadn't brought out a caution. Dredge into the pits now, massive damage, but that was a huge, huge hit.
I just went back and had a look at that, and it seems like Roller's done that a fair few times where he's just tapped a guy on the rear where he didn't really need to do it, and we've got pit stops happening.
Yep, Northway in. Now, where will he come out? I'm going to say he'll come out in that pack with Jake Fox and Jason Martin, who have just come on by.
And we've
here.
got Dwayne Burns and Anthony Green in as well.
Yep, so the field is cleansed. We are green flag pit stops done for the entire field. Hooray, it took 165 odd laps, but we got there. We actually got green flag stops, and it is spicing this race up because King, Nowak, Harris, Norton, they are out in a league of their own right now. Blythe out by himself. He's going to struggle. He'll get gobbled up by the next pack in the next little while. Dane Burns still in the pits. Northway's just come out, but Brant Tucker, Troy Maguire, Matthew Raymond, those three cars, they'll come on by, probably past Blythe in the next little while as well. They'll just drive on by him because they will have that overspeed. And Blythe will probably tuck back in to the back of the top 10 at this rate. Whoa!
Oh, that was
Tucker.
very close.
Tucker had to go just below the yellow line because Northway had come out of the pits up onto the groove and sort of sat up a little bit higher than you would like. That was a little bit of a nerve-wracking moment there for Brant Tucker. I must say Brant has done a very, very good job. He's going to hate me because I'm going to put the curse on him right now, but Brant, he, last night talking to him, he didn't care where he finished. He just wanted to finish. Now, for me, that is the best attitude to have in these races. If your one motto is to finish a race in the Daytona 500 and finish on the lead lap, if you can do that, you're going to find yourself in a pretty good position. And have a look at who is in, or not far off the top 5 position. And we'll probably slot into the top 5 with Blythe out on track by himself at the moment. Well done, Brant.
If you think about it, if you think about what the motto goes, if you just want to finish a race, to finish first you must finish. And that is no more true than any other race apart from Daytona 500 because you need to make sure that you finish this race. And Brant Tucker is currently sitting on more positions gained than anybody else on 29 places up from where he started. Sitting in 6th, he'll be sitting there just thinking, right, if I haven't taken a quick repair yet, I'm sitting in 6th position in Daytona 500. I'm sitting in a very good position. Do not need to take any risks. I'm here, and I'm here for the finish. I'm looking pretty good.
And the pace that you got, still 25 odd laps to go, lapping around about 1.5 seconds quicker than Riley Blythe ahead. Would not be surprised if Tucker and Maguire and Raymond blitz on by Riley Blythe in the next few laps, around about 10 or 12 laps or so. But at the front, Nowak tucked right in behind John King. Now, King is going to be really, really questionable for fuel for mine. I don't know if he's going to have enough. He's got to do 40 laps to a tank. Now, from memory, this is going back a little while since I've actually been able to do a Daytona 500 race. We're looking around about 37 laps full throttle to a tank from memory. Hopefully someone can correct me in it or confirm with me in the YouTube chat, but I think it's 37, 38 laps if you are the lead car 100% throttle at Daytona. John King's been leading.
I'd love to be able to
40.
help you out there, but I've got no idea.
Yeah, I can't really remember, but you got any idea, Cam?
No, I don't. I have got absolutely no idea at all.
Good. We're all flying blind. We're all as prepared as ever with so much going on this weekend. We've underprepared, but we are entertaining ourselves and hopefully keeping you entertained with 24.5 laps to go in the Major Series International Region Daytona 500 for 2018. It will be tight either way, regardless of yeah, there we go, getting confirmed 38 laps. So King is the one that is going to be in trouble here. Norton, for me, is the one that's in the best situation. He got into the lead, didn't want to be there. He was happy to tuck in behind and get off the throttle and save a bit of fuel. And now he's just sitting in behind Jake Fox, who is now a lap down. We've got 8 cars on the lead lap. He's quite happy sitting there. So, I'm saying that, gonna have to go around the outside. Here we go. This is going to get really, really intense. This is, Farmer. Oh, Norton almost contacting the back of Jake Fox, and Norton's had to almost get out of the throttle as he was drifting up the track. Fox is going to get out of the way and let Norton through. That almost got a little bit messy.
I missed all of that because 2x2 here with Dwayne Burns and Jason Martin and a couple others, and it looks like they're trying to work their way through, but Martin's still carrying a fair bit of damage, and it's like whoever was pushing him, who's that? Daniel Stevens of MFR. He's
Oh my God.
he's trying to push Jason. Oh, they're getting very close as well. Oh,
Yep.
they're trying hard, but I don't think it's really working for them at this point in time.
Yeah, I think they need to get themselves in a single file and work together. Maybe Larnack might need to drop him behind. Yeah, now well and truly out of contention to get that lucky dog. Maybe drop him behind and see if there's other guys can gain a bit of time, because the car ahead of Jake Fox is the one that these guys are trying to get up to. But Fox is in the middle of that lead battle, and if he stays there, he's going to hold on to 9th position. It's Christopher Norton going around the outside, going to make it too wide with Sam Harrison. They're coming past. Almost contact between Norton and McLeod. That was close.
That was way too close, especially for the lead. Like, to be a front runner in this field, you don't want to be making it 3 wide when you don't really need to. Like, could have just pulled in. It wasn't going to gain anything. May as well have just sat back. And at this point in time, if I was Christopher Norton, I'd be just sitting behind these 3 guys in front, hoping to God that there's caution in the next 15 laps at least, and try and make a move from there. But here he goes again, trying to go around the outside of Sam Harris. I don't know where he's going to get here.
So we had our last caution on lap number 126. Before that, we had a caution on lap 116, which was when the guys made their last pit stop before they made the green flag stop. And so they went, what's that, 43 laps, including a caution in the middle of that. So, yeah, going to be really lucky to get 40 laps to a tank. I think 38 for King. Nowak might be okay. Harris might be okay. But Norton, for me, I think Norton, sitting there in 4th position, he just needs to tuck in behind and save fuel. If he just sits there, he could potentially take this away on the last lap if these guys ahead run out of fuel. He's got nothing to lose by sitting behind. Everything to lose by trying to make a move.
Well, how many laps do you think they get to a tank?
Yeah, 38. We're hearing is about right. 38 to full throttle, 100% full throttle, 38 laps. So it's saying King is in a lot of trouble here at the front of this pack.
I was just trying to have a look at the pit lane times and the last pit stop times, and there's not a great deal of difference between the guys that we were all talking about. Like Christopher Norton, 17.7 he was stopped for, 17.6 for Sam Harris, 17.4 for Josh Nowak, 18.3 for John King. So they're all very similar pit stop times. It's just going to be how much fuel do they save when they're in the positions that they're in.
Now Brant Tucker's about to come up to pass Riley Blythe. This is going to get interesting because they've got lap cars ahead. Blythe's going to have to hold the inside line. Tucker's going to have to do it the hard way around the outside, but the overspeed may mean that he can get through. If he can't get by, Blythe will be able to hold on to that position. And Tucker looks like he's going to get it done here. He's getting a fair bit of help from Raymond in behind. good bit of
And we've got some
pushing.
lap cars as well.
Oh, this is going to get messy. Good work from Tucker to duck on in. He's got on through, now into 5th. How's that? From second last on the grid up to 5th position. 35th to 5th in this race. Well done, Brant. Norton's got ahead of Nowak as well. Nowak maybe has looked at that fuel situation and gone, you know what, I have to save some. I haven't got enough. I'm going to tuck in behind and save a little bit, lift a little bit, use the draft.
And it's these sort of situations where the drivers that have that extra telemetry, where it gives a live fuel readout on how much fuel you actually need. If it goes green from here on in, they know straight away, all right, I can save, 0.1 of a litre here, and I can make this race. I don't need to stop again. Whereas the guys that are just running blind, just hoping to God that they don't need to stop again, they could be completely oblivious that the other guys sitting in behind them are pushing them along, but yet saving fuel, and they might be in a better position.
Yeah, we got the likes of Norton, who's probably spent the most part of this stint at 85% throttle because he's just used the draft to keep it behind. And Norton and now Nowak is, I think that's what Nowak's done, is smartly tucked in behind, because no point being up there if you haven't got enough fuel. So need to think about how you're going to get it to the end. There's no point now, with only 15 laps to go, no point running out of fuel with 2 to go. The way it's looking at the moment, I feel it's going to stay green to the end. Touch wood, fingers crossed it does. If we have a caution, all of that's going out the window. But if we stay green to the end, it is going to be really close between those front 4 cars as to who is going to be able to win the race.
If there is a caution, I really hope it's within the next 5 laps, because otherwise it could possibly end under the caution, and we don't want that for any race, because the way this is shaping up, it's going to be an epic fuel-saving, fuel strategy race.
14 to go as they get through turn number 4 and coming up to the tri-oval. This stint now 25 laps long. Will they have enough fuel to get home? 14 laps to go. We are thinking 12 laps of fuel in the tank of the lead car in John King. This is going to get interesting. Cam, who's your money on here in this battle?
Very hard decision to make, to be honest, with the number of laps to go and the fuel situation. It's very, very hard to put your money. And we've got a yellow.
Oh, caution.
Dane Burns.
That's it. We're going to be a few laps sprint to the end.
We're going to have about a 9-lap dash. Dane Burns is the one that has had an incident to bring out this caution. He was involved in a battle with Northway, Martin and Stevens.
That's a big, big moment for Burns there. Down the back straight.
Yep. Larnack. Oh, Larnack tried to give a little bit of a bump and didn't quite hit him flush. I tell you what, how lucky were Martin and Stevens as they come on through. They were almost into that car as it swung back across the track. So we're on board with Jason Martin. I tell you what, I think I just put the commentator's curse on this race because we were looking good and I ruined it.
As always. I tell you what, I am actually really surprised by the amount of cars that have had very light contact and sent cars flying. Like, I've been a bit critical of a few drivers, but looking at the amount of incidents that have happened from very light contact, from not quite being square when they're bump drafting, these cars must be very, very light. And if you touch someone not quite right, like square on the rear bumper, it just sends them around into the fence, and it's so easy to cause caution.
Well, any questions about fuel potentially are gone now. We've got 12 laps to go in round number 2 of the International Major Series International Region. This will get very, very tense as the field bunches up once again. We still have 8 cars, now 9 on the lead lap as Jake Fox comes around as the lucky dog to get himself back onto the lead lap. 9 cars on the lead lap. Northway is our first car 1 lap down. Tell you what, who's your money on, boys? This is going to get really intense.
I'm going to have to go Sam Harris, I reckon.
Cam?
I'd say possibly Sam Harris, possibly even Christopher Norton. It's a bit of a hard one because now you've even got all these guys that were in another pack fighting for like top 5 now right up at the front. So it's going to be anyone's race at this stage.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very close, however it all plays out. I have a funny feeling that we are going to finish under caution with the big wreck at the front of the field with 3 to go, and Matthew Raymond's going to be the one that will take the win.
That's a very bold call.
You got to be ambitious these days, don't you?
They're ambitious and usually rubbish.
Oh, fair enough.
Well, no, I'm just talking from your experience. I'm just looking again at Brent Tucker. He's up 30 positions. He's got an extra lap of fuel up his sleeve. If there's any worry about fuel, like I know we're under caution, usually that gets rid of all that scenario, but if there is any dramas with everyone else with a bit of fuel drama, he's the one that's got an extra lap of fuel on board. So if there is anything to go with fuel stints and, running out of fuel, Brad Tucker's going to be one that's going to be the victor here.
Yep, there's every chance that something strange could happen, and if Brant was to somehow pull out a miraculous win, to come from second last to winning the race would be phenomenal. Proof that anything can and does happen the Daytona 500.
Exactly right. And with 10 laps to go, I think I am on my last little dregs of fuel, so I need to make a quick pit stop. I'll be back.
Go for it. Make your last pit stop. As we come up, we will have, I think, 2 more to green when we come across the line. Saying that, no, the lap cars have been shuffled back, so we'll be 1 to go this time by. King, Harris, Norton, Nowak, Tucker, Blythe, Maguire, Raymond, and now Jake Fox. The 9 cars left on the lead lap. The 9 cars that have the potential to take this race win. We see another caution. It will likely end the race as we will have 8 to go when we go green. But we have another caution. We may, depending on how long, or when it comes out, we may get another green flag run. But hopefully we finish under green as we hear Mitch enjoying himself. King has done a very, very good job leading from the front once he got there. He worked very, very hard, very aggressively to get himself into the front position. Now he's been there. He's almost been a really good force because the pace that he's had at the front has been very, very impressive. And Josh Nowak, probably a little bit of credit to him too for a great job pushing in that long green flag run. The King, Harris, Nowak, Norton, Tucker and Blythe, the front 3 rows as we get ready to go. Sorry, we will have 9 to go, not 8. So 9 to go when we go green this time by... This is the Majors Series Daytona 500 International Region race. A fantastic race it has been. We have been green flag went 3 hours and 9 minutes ago. So at this current pace, we will have this race done in just over 3 hours and 15 minutes, which is pretty good pace for a Daytona 500. Fingers crossed we do get this race home green to the end.
Going to be one hell of a battle to the end.
Yep, King still saving fuel. He must not be quite at that magical fuel number. Still saving a tiny little bit. Just heard him clutching a couple of times coming up behind the pace car. Now got himself into gear. Just in first gear
So if
restarts
King's
as
is a bit worried, he's the same as everyone around him but Brant Tucker.
well. The thing is,
Brant
though, he
Tucker's
was...
got the extra lap.
Yeah, the thing is, though, that King was leading that pack, so he was 100% throttle. The other guys were in behind and were able to save a little bit of fuel, but away we go.
That
9
is
to go.
true.
Harris and Norton side by side, and will Harris be able to get down ahead of Norton, or will he have to tuck in behind? Riley Blythe's been dropped. And have a look at Tucker. He's got
someone spun at the back.
Look at Anthony Green around on the infield. We're staying green for Anthony Green. Here comes Grant Tucker. He's now got himself into 4th position. Josh Nowak shuffled to the outside. He's gone. He's not going to be able to get on through. Will Tucker be able to get on through? Will he be able to pass Harris? Here comes Matthew Raymond to go around the outside. Oh, Tucker!
Oh, that's a big one.
Grant Tucker in the fence. Caution is out. And, whoa, watch out, guys, in that secondary pack. Need to watch out for these guys that are spinning on the track. We will have a 2-lap dash or a 3-lap dash for the green flag in this race. Unfortunate for Brant because he was doing a phenomenal job working himself up the field. And I think Troy... Hang on, let's watch a CPR replay to see exactly what happened there. I think that was just a little bit of a push in the corner, and I think we've said that a few times. You can't do that around Daytona. You cannot push in the corners. It's impossible to do, and that is the way that it ends. Unfortunately for Brant Tucker, phenomenal drive from him. He is now back in the pits. Race done, unfortunately.
It's a difficult one, that, because I know in the trucks, like I've done a lot of truck racing here this week, and I know they're very different to these cars, but usually if you hit them right, you can push all the way around the track. But yeah, Tony Maguire wasn't quite square on there as well. But at this point in the race, you sort of go, well, you know what? You just hold it flat and see what happens, and it didn't quite work out that time around.
No. Any stresses on fuel for the lead guys? They are done because they will make it home on fuel now. We will have...
Will we get a flying lap though, or...?
Yeah, we'll have 3 laps of green flag running at the end. So we will have 3 to go when we go green as we tick over 143 laps complete. 7 laps to go. No race control will have an absolute field day looking back over this race. They'll have a lot to analyse and a lot to look over, and a few drivers might be getting a few naughty letters from the race admin. Be interesting to see. But biggest loser out of that, other than obviously Brant Tucker, Josh Nowak. He dropped from 4th, now back to 6th. Well, this has changed how we think this race is going to unfold and how the finale of this race is going to finish. Did it change anyone's thoughts on who they are going for?
Nah, I was just trying to look back on the amount of times that I said MFR, because every time I said MFR,
that's another 2.
I got a free beer. So if MFR produce a good tier, MFR are going to get a very good rep from me. I'm not saying they're any good. I'm just saying that MFR got a mention.
They did lead a little bit of this race, so that's always a big positive with Jonathan Ben. Though we did semi-question why he was doing what he was doing at that point of the race, but Jason Martin now the first car a lap down, so unfortunate for him. If he had got ahead of Robert Northway, he may have been in for some sort of show, but at the moment sitting in 10th.
There's nothing more irritating than the very last caution being the last car lap down. I'll tell you what, it makes you want to throw your computer out the fucking window.
Ooh,
sorry.
Beep, 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 beep.
Beep.
Apologies for that to anyone who may be listening. That's banned from the from the chat for a bit. That's not good, Mitch. But you do get very, very upset if you are 1 lap down.
I was getting upset thinking about it.
If you are 1 lap down to 1 to go, or the last caution, I mean, you may gain a spot depending on who brought out the caution, but it is really disheartening when you are in the position that Martin is. And he was probably not far off passing Robert Northway at that same point as well. If he had been able to get past Northway, he'd be back on the lead lap in some sort of contention and maybe gain 2 or 3 spots. As it is now, Martin will more than likely finish in 10th position. We've got 9 left on the lead lap.
Is not that bad if he's in the championship running. To be finishing 10th at Daytona, you need a lot of luck, you need a lot of skill, but more than anything, you need a lot of luck.
So we will get the 1 to go signal this time around as we start lap number 196 of this race. So we will have 4 laps to go. So the next flag, whether it be green or white or checkers, will be at the end of the race. If we get a white flag, of course, no caution on the last lap. Unless something absolutely major comes out. Here we go. We're going to have 4 laps to go in this race. The Majors Series Daytona 500. King and Norton on the front row. Harrison Maguire, second row. Blythe and Nowak on the third row. Raymond and Fox on the fourth row. Robert Northway, the other car, on the lead lap. But, of course, Lucky Dog at the rear of the field. He is at the back of this train of cars. But
which is probably not a bad place to be.
You're right. He could end up gaining a couple of spots depending on how this restart plays out. But here we go. King leading the field down the back straight for the 5th to last time. Will we stay green? Will we finish under yellow? They are the only 2 options available to us now. If we get another yellow, it will end the race. If we get to the white flag, we will finish under green. So fingers crossed we get to the last lap of the race. Hopefully we do. We'll see a very, very intriguing battle at the front of the field between our first 8 cars, the lead cars in this race. It's been a long day of talking. Not long to go.
I can tell you what they're not going to do, and that's sit around and wait for something to happen.
No,
they are going to be
now.
pushing everything. Yeah, it is make your own fate.
Yep.
And anyone that's on the lead lap, they will be doing whatever it takes. Some of them will be thinking a little bit about it, going, all right, if I leave a bit of a gap here, I can get a bit of a run, but let's see how we go.
Straight away, Troy Maguire absolutely missed the start, and that outside row has been completely checked up. So the front 4 now are King, Harris, Norton and Blythe. Those 4 are the ones at the moment in contention for this race win. King leading, and as it stands right now, he's in the best position because it has been very, very tough to pass. Norton and Blythe are looking to go around the outside. We've seen some guys manage to pull it off. It has not been easy, but it has been doable. We've seen it a couple of times in this race.
I don't know, but these first 4, it is between them now. And have they gone too early? They need to hang back, get a bit of a run, work together if they want to make a move. Because what they're doing, it hasn't worked a race. It's not going to work now.
Yeah, and you're saying that Harris had a little bit of room, had a little bit of a gap. He could have went to the outside and actually used Norton as a bit of an advantage. If you're going to finish second, you might as well risk it and finish third. Finishing third, finishing second at Daytona, it's exactly the same. You want to win this race. If you don't win, doesn't matter whether you finish second or third. It's all about winning the Daytona 500. Blythe is now ahead of Norton, who got shuffled back. Now will Norton be able to push Blythe up to the front of this pack?
Holy doubt it. Like, Blythe just pushed Norton in front of him and got nowhere. So I don't see what he's going to achieve by going out on the outside. He should have dropped back a little bit, got the run, and then tried to make a move on the last lap. But unless he's trying to fake him into something, but it's not working.
No, it's not. And that inside line is definitely hooked up for King. He's looked very, very consistent and has had it all under control since he's been leading this race. Has led the most laps in this race as well. King has Harris, Blythe, Norton in this lead pack. It is down to those four. No one else will be close enough. Raymond and Maguire trying to close up to the back, and they've slotted back into single file. We're about to get the white flag though. Here we go. We are going to finish this Daytona 500 under green. It is a miracle. But here we go, last lap of the Daytona 500.
One to watch here.
Yeah, watch out for Chris Norton, and don't be surprised if Raymond and Maguire can come on through if something happens with this lead pack. There is every chance of a bit of contact of one of these 3 or 4 cars in this front pack getting involved in an incident. King at the moment just doing enough to hold off Harris. Harris trying to bump and push because he's under threat from Blythe behind.
But they're all too close to each other. They haven't planned a run at all. I think he's going to finish exactly how it is.
Yeah, it looks like it might, because Harris now hasn't got anyone to help him. Is he going to be able to get a run? Will he be able to come to the inside coming into the tri-oval? This is going to be pretty close. Here comes Harris. Will he get the win at the line? Oh! Who won?
3,000ths of a second.
Harris has won. No, King. King's held on by 4 1,000ths of a second. Wow. What an end to this race. Congratulations to John King.
I could not believe that King moved up that high.
That was amazing to end the race that close. We're going to have to get a slow-mo replay of the end of that race, because that was phenomenal. Amazing how close these guys were at the line. 4 1,000ths of a second separating the first and second place cars. Literally nothing separating them. I cannot believe how close that ended. Wow, that was phenomenal. Oh, nothing between them.
That last lap, I didn't expect it to be that close, to be honest, because nobody planned a run. It was like nobody learnt anything from the race. I thought, no, if you're going to wait back a little bit and plan for the end, you get a run on somebody, but they were all nose to tail on that last lap. And for Sam Harris to, Sam Harris to get that much of a run and not quite get there, I don't know how he did it, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
I don't know why John King gave that much room. Like,
yeah.
All right, we're going to the line. Try and get me up the inside. Why not? That's a quicker way. I don't know why you do that.
That was amazing, the run to the line that Harris had. And yeah, King to move across. Not quite sure that was the best. Maybe he was worried he was going to get dumped and lose the spot. So, but either way, the race is done.
Still worked.
It worked. And it worked by the smallest of margins. Top 4 separated by 1/10 of a second. Top 3 separated by 600ths of a second. John King from Sam Harris. Riley Blythe in 3rd position. Christopher Norton in 4th. Matthew Raymond in 5th position. Troy Maguire in 6th. Josh Nowak in 7th. Jake Fox in 8th position. Robert Northway finishes in 9th. Daniel Stevens in 10th. First car 1 lap down. Jason Martin just behind him. Not much separating those two at the line. Only 1.2 seconds. 1.1 seconds further back was TJ Brown. And then we've got Anthony Green in 13th. He only just got beaten to the line by TJ as well. So very, very close between those two guys. Mike Ollett finishes as the last car 1 lap down. Then we've got Graham Amaroka, who led a couple of laps midway through the race. Adam McLeod. And then Scott Larnack, Dean Mole, Adam Houston, Aaron Farmer, who had an absolute disaster of a race to forget for him. Then we've got Brad Matheson, Brant Tucker, Dane Burns, Mark Dredge, and Brett Loxton, James Kingsland, Corey Ott, Scott Griffiths, Wayne Burke, Matt Muggleton, Jonathan Ben, Roger Clark, Shane Bowen, Daniel Aitchison, Brock Cadday, and Bo Albert, the 36 cars in the field that started this one, with only 9 completing all 200 laps. We will hopefully get a few drivers in for a chat in the booth in just a few moments, but we will take a very, very quick break here on V8s Online. We'll be back in just a moment. We anticipate what we have next weekend after this fantastic night of racing. Next weekend we have the V8 Supercar Online Premier Series presented by VRS and Cut Price Racing. We'll be back in just a moment here on V8s Online.
It's a question that's been asked more than it's been answered. How do you win the Daytona 500? This race is more than just man and machine. At Daytona, there's a secret to unlock. Now, some folks call this secret the draft, and others call it the air. But as for me, I call it the wind. And carried with that wind are the spirits of the legends and the gods of racing themselves. So, how do you win the Daytona 500? Ride the wind.
Welcome back to V8's Online's coverage of the Major Series International Region Daytona 500. We've been joined in the commentary box by a man who I've been talking to quite a lot today, Brant Tucker. I know we were talking up you potentially doing something miraculous throughout this race. It almost happened, 8 to go. You've ended up 8 laps down in 22nd. You look at the timing sheet and it doesn't look overly appealing, but tell you what, you should be pretty happy with how you went in that race. Well done.
Oh, hey guys, thanks Jay. Yeah, no, it was a entertaining race for me. Apart from accidentally wrecking my teammate, Corey Ott, I do apologise for that, and nearly wrecking Brock Cadet as well. I do apologise. But no, I had a blast out there. Incredibly bummed that it ended the way it did. I think I was the one that no one thought would be up in 6th with about 8 to go, but so I was, and with the lead pack, and yeah, it was a blast. I had a heap of fun out there. A few change of underwear moments, but no, it was a great fun. Well done to Mike, and credit to everyone else out there. It was an entertaining race, that's for sure.
Now, I've been telling you for a long time how good oval racing is, and you guys always like, yeah, all you do is turn left. How much different now that you've actually done a proper, true 500-mile over race? How much more enjoyable is over racing than you ever thought?
Oh well, probably 485 mile, but hey, no, it was great. I think I was hanging out with Matt. Yeah, I was hanging out with Matt for most of the time throughout the race through the green stop. Matt and Jack. We were just in a 3-car train by ourselves, and the leaders were up 12 seconds away in front of us, and we were by ourselves in the middle little pack, and then everyone else was about 10 seconds behind us. So we were just cruising along, and no, it was great fun. Didn't realize how much fun plate racing could, stricter plate racing could actually be, and let alone oval racing. So it was great fun. Bummed that it ended the way it did, but glad I actually did the race and didn't park it halfway through like I was highly contemplating, because that was a pearler of a lap. Once I got to lap 100, it was like, okay, let's take it in 25 lap stints here and see see what happens to the end. So it was great fun.
Now, people watching won't really have any idea on what I'm referring to here, but how was my little tip for you with your green flag stop? Did you actually take my advice on where to stop, where to pull up?
I did.
And
I nearly died, but I didn't die.
you pulled up at just the right spot, didn't you?
Yes.
You nearly locked it up and sent it into the fence, but you
Yes.
locked it up and you did well.
Yes, it was enjoyable. Well done.
All right. Well, thanks, mate. Thanks for jumping in, and well done on a fantastic race effort. Unfortunately, didn't end the way that we were hoping for you, but I no doubt know that you will be back racing in some oval racing soon.
Oh, absolutely. It's something I might have to look into in the future more often.
We might have to do a race together later on.
Sounds like a plan. See you guys. Well done.
You want to do the official tomorrow? We'll do it together. Anyway, we've got our race winner in the box, John King. Congratulations, well done on a fantastic win. You led a large portion of that race, but tell you, it must have been a heart attack moment come that last lap.
No, not really, because Sam's an ex-teammate of ours from Blackadder, and so I actually wanted to give him the win because really he pushed me for I don't know how many laps, but pretty much every lap I led, Sam was in second place.
Yeah, you two guys, as well as Josh Nowak as well, you all hooked up really, really well in that middle stage when we had that long green flag run, and you just broke away from the rest of the field. Are you happy to have a couple of guys around you that you could really trust and really work hard with to break away?
Yeah, that made it fairly comfortable because Sam is so good at ovals, and with him behind me, it was pretty comfortable. He was pushing me when he needed to get the speed, but he was being pretty careful as well. And Josh could hang on to us pretty easily. But we had a great setup from David Vieira, another ex-teammate of ours, and that was really the key to it.
You backed up a decent performance in the last race as well. I think from looking at things, you might actually be leading the international championship after tonight. So well done. It's going to be a hard fought championship the whole way through, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I really didn't expect to be this high up in the championship, but I guess it looks like there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to do either road or oval. So maybe those of us that run both are going to have a big advantage. So we'll see. I'm doing it mainly for fun and for the team championship. So whatever I get in the individual is cool, but no big deal.
Now, obviously, a little bit of a break until our next round. You're looking forward to that, the Copper Classic at Phoenix in the sprint, the Silver Crown, I should say.
It'll be interesting. I think I've done 5 laps in a Silver Crown about 3 years ago, and I think I crashed about 15 times. So I think I'm going to need a lot of practice.
Yeah, I'm on the exact same theory as you. I've got no idea on how to drive those cars. I think I've done about 3 laps and I crashed 25 times. So we're on about even pace there. But we better let you thank who you need to thank before we let you go. And congratulations once again.
Well, the whole team, the team's been brilliant in this lead up, and Sam and David Vieira, of course, for the setup and for the pushing, and our sponsors, Workiva, who've been really good to us over the last few months.
Well, congratulations again on a fantastic win, and I think that would be one of the smallest margins we would ever have seen here on Vance Online, and maybe in the major series overall, 0.004 of a second. So congratulations on officially winning the Daytona 500.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Jay.
Well, it doesn't look like we've got anyone else coming in for an interview, so I need to thank everyone here in the booth with me. Cam for jumping in while Mitch was out, and Mitch for jumping in and causing all sorts of mayhem and craziness in the box. But it's been a very stressful weekend for all of us here at Vance Online. We were hoping to still be live for our other broadcast, being the Oceanic Endurance Championship, but fortunately we've had issues with our other broadcast PC, which has put an end to that. But Cam, thank you for jumping in, and thanks for your hard work over on the other broadcast as well before it unfortunately ended.
Yeah, no worries. It was enjoyable to jump in for 2 races at once. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the weekend. Hopefully, the Pacific Majors next week and Scops as well. So that'll be good.
Yep, we'll both be out on track in the Pacific Majors next weekend. The European, Atlantic, and Pacific Majors next weekend on RaceSpot, LSR TV, and GSRC, respectively. Brant, also a big thank you to you for your hard work helping me out with not only OSC, but a fantastic job in the race in this one today.
Thanks, guys. It was a pleasure in OEC, and it was an absolute blast in that race just then. So, all good.
On behalf of the entire team here at V8 Online, we thank you for tuning in. Our next broadcast will be tomorrow for the iRacing official V8 Supercar Series. As we said, with that championship, there is no points separating first and second in the championship. Tied at the top of the sheets at the moment between Dane Warren and Marlon McMullen. So that one will come down to the wire. Until next time, you've been watching V8 Online. We thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.